Chapter 29:13. It was obvious that they were here to represent Celestial Immortals' territory in the second round. In the previous battle for Providence, Celestial Immortals' territory was ranked 2150. They were still very strong. The 20 or so sovereigns before them were only half of their strength. The other 20 or so had already gone to other celestial bodies under the lead of another genius. In the second round of the battle for Providence, each of the thousands of territories would descend on a celestial body. The celestial world's people were not aware of this at all. Even their warships were not prepared. Because the celestial world's territory had not advanced to the second round for many years, they were not aware of the rules. Young Master Feng, since the celestial bodies that the celestial world's people descended on were arranged by our Lord, they shouldn't be able to escape, right? Why not let them perish on their own? An upper-level sovereign beside Ji Feng asked, puzzled. The blood-red celestial body is indeed the most unbearable celestial body in the second round of the battle for Providence. There have been more than 10 battles for Providence, and the teams that descended on the blood-red celestial body will be completely trapped. However, this young master's goal is not to trap them. I want to trap them there and wait for us to slaughter them. Ji Feng's expression was sinister. His younger brother, Ji Yun, had gone missing in the celestial world's territory. When he went to the celestial world's territory to ask for his brother, he was intimidated by Night Sorrow and did not dare to make a move. This time, his father had used some tricks to make the celestial world's people descend on the infamous blood-red celestial body. He felt that he had to make a move no matter what. Otherwise, his Tao heart would definitely shatter. Thus, young Master Feng, we are on standby. The sovereigns behind Ji Feng all stood up and answered. Good. Very good. We'll wait for them to exhaust themselves a bit more before making a move. The blood-red celestial body is not something that trash like them can easily break through. We are not in a hurry. Ji Feng's body was full of killing intent. Although he could not see what was happening on the blood-red celestial body, he could feel the energy fluctuations there and knew that the celestial world's people were fighting. At this time, Night Sorrow and the others were indeed fighting. At this point, their battle with the Blood Corpse primordial giant had reached its climax. Night Sorrow, Master of 10,000 Swords, and Xiao Tianxian had already unleashed their full power. Only then were they barely able to hold their own against the Blood Corpse primordial giant. Even after fighting for a while, Night Sorrow did not find any fatal wounds on the Blood Corpse primordial giant. Hence, the moves he used on the Blood Corpse ape were not effective. Brother Yi, what should we do? If this stalemate continues, we will consume a large number of pills, but it doesn't seem to be consuming anything at all. And even if we can defeat it, there might be other blood corpses. Master Wan Jian roared helplessly after swallowing the third pill. Facing the ancient blood corpse giant before him, he truly felt that he had done his best. Furthermore, the other people from the divine realm had to use all of their abilities to barely be able to fight the blood corpse ancient giant to a draw. No one was injured, but they had been tense all the time, and this feeling was very tiring. We have already unleashed our full power, and we have already exceeded our limits, but we still can't defeat it. Now we need to think of a way to deal with it. Xiao Tianxian also shouted. The blood corpse primordial giant's strength was shocking, and its fighting skills were obviously stronger than the other blood corpses. It was very difficult to deal with. Everyone felt as if they were lifting an unbearable mountain. If they kept lifting it, there would be a time when they could no longer lift it, but if they put it down, they would be crushed to death. From the looks of it, there are only two ways. One is for you to stall it, and I will try to set up a formation. While fighting against the blood corpse primordial giant, Night Sorrow shouted, the other way is for us to practice the spell of combination during the battle. Spell of combination? Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Master of 10,000 Swords asked doubtfully, is it a method where everyone cooperates to attack the opponent? The more people there are, the harder it is to practice the spell of combination. We can form 3 groups of 3 people. During the process of practice, you must be careful. I will tell you what to do next. After Night Sorrow answered, he used telepathy to teach the spell of combination to everyone. So that's how it is. If we succeed, our strength will definitely increase qualitatively. This method of fighting together is much easier than setting up a formation. Let's give it a try. Master of 10,000 Swords, who was originally in despair, immediately became spirited after Night Sorrow took out the spell of combination. He shouted, "Brother Yi, Brother Xiao, and I will be in a group. Feng Shui, Guide, and Chang Tian will be in a group. Nie Zhanglin, Yang Qing, and Jin Xian will be in a group. While everyone is practicing, you must pay attention to your own safety." After they were divided into groups, Master of 10,000 Swords continued, "Brother Yi, Brother Xiao, and I will work together to restrain the Blood Corpse primordial giant. You all just need to be responsible for attacking. Is everyone okay?" "No problem. No problem." After everyone answered, they began to spread out according to the spell of combination. Night Sorrow, Xiao Tianxian, and Master of 10,000 Swords were in charge of restraining the Blood Corpse primordial giant and resisting its attacks. Therefore, they were in the most dangerous position. It was difficult to fully practice the spell of combination. However, Shui Chang Tian, Yuan Fengshui, and Murong Guide were under a lot of pressure. They usually had a good relationship with each other. Therefore, their tacit understanding was very high. Not long after, they successfully mastered the spell of combination and their strength increased greatly. Although Nie Zhanglin, Yang Qing, and Jin Xian were not very strong, they were after all dominators. After a while, they also mastered the spell of combination. After the two groups mastered the spell of combination, the Heavenly World's people's combat strength increased several times. Not long after, they successfully killed the Blood Corpse primordial giant. As the Blood Corpse primordial giant lost control and sank to the bottom of the sea, the Heavenly World's people revealed victorious smiles. In order to cooperate with Shui Chang Tian and Murong Guide, Yuan Fengshui, who came out of Night Sorrow's space grotto heaven, looked much better. She said with lingering fear, "Luckily, Brother Ye's spell of combination came in time. Otherwise, we would still be fighting the Blood Corpse primordial giant and the first to fall would be us." "Yeah. Brother Yi, you're truly a heaven-shaking genius. With you here, our Heavenly World's people will not have to worry about not rising." Jin Xian also complimented. He was very impressed with Night Sorrow's ability. As for the others, they were also very impressed with Night Sorrow. However, before Master of 10,000 Swords and Xiao Tianxian and the others could say anything, they saw a nine-tailed celestial fox that had turned into a Blood Corpse primordial giant charging towards them. *CK. Is there an end to this? They had been fighting for a long time and had not had a chance to rest. Master of 10,000 Swords could not help but curse when he saw another Blood Corpse primordial giant. "Forget it. Since it's here, let's take it as it comes. The three of us. We can use it to practice our spell of combination." Chapter 29:14. The blood corpses near the teleportation formation were resurrected one by one. Night Sorrow felt that if they wanted to leave through the teleportation formation, they would have to defeat all the blood corpses near the formation. There were still 8 blood corpses near the teleportation formation, which meant that there was still an extremely difficult battle to fight. That was definitely going to be a bitter battle. Night Sorrow felt that he, Myriad Sword Sect, and Xiao Tianxian needed to quickly master the spell formation, otherwise they would not be able to hold on in the following battles. "Good. Brother Yi, you've really thought it through," Thousand Swords Master said, then shouted, "Brother Xiao, come. The two of us will cooperate with Brother Yi and perform the spell formation. He will be the leader." "Good. We will cooperate with him." Speaking of which, Xiao Tianxian was definitely Night Sorrow's senior, but in the Eternal Supreme Realm he did not put on airs and was very easygoing. 9th Heaven Charms Saint Art. While everyone was studying the battle strategy, the Blood Corpse nine-tailed celestial fox suddenly let out an extremely seductive voice, and then performed the spell of charm. In an instant, the sea of blood in the sky turned into a paradise. In this paradise, there were many naked beautiful women, countless treasures, and a dazzling array of cultivation resources. She had almost everything a man needed. Myriad Sword Sect and Xiao Tianxian, who were preparing to perform the spell formation, immediately fell for the spell of charm. The two of them became dizzy at the same time. Not to mention practicing the spell formation, even standing in the sea of blood was a little unstable. In addition to the two of them, Shui Changtian, Murong Zhenlu, Nie Zhonglin, and Yang Qing were also affected. Only Night Sorrow, Yuan Fengxue, and Jin Xian were fine. Night Sorrow looked at Yuan Fengxue and Jin Xian and said, "In order to prevent the 6 of them from being killed by the blood corpses in a bad state, I will temporarily put them in the space grotto heaven. Leave the rest to us." The blood corpse nine-tailed celestial fox was most definitely an expert in the art of charm. Night Sorrow knew very well that there was no point in leaving the Myriad Sword sect and the others behind. They would only be putting themselves in danger. Therefore, he immediately kept all 6 of them into the space grotto heaven. Then, together with Yuan Fengxue and Jin Xian, he started to fight the blood corpse nine-tailed celestial fox. After a fierce battle, Night Sorrow realized that the blood corpse nine-tailed celestial fox was indeed inferior to the primordial giant in terms of pure combat strength. He shouted, "The 3 of us should also practice our combined techniques and try to finish it off as soon as possible." Good. Although Gold Xian's strength is a little weak, but they will never back down, Jin Xian said excitedly. Whether it was in the God realm or now on the Blood Red planet, he had always been a supporting character beside the Myriad Sword sect and the others. As the grandson of the Golden Crow, he had always been under a lot of pressure. Now that he had taken on such an important role at such an important moment, he suddenly found the meaning of his existence. He thought to himself, "Grandfather, your grandson will bring glory to you." Good. Fengxue, are you feeling better? Jin Xian was full of fighting spirit. There was no problem at all. Night Sorrow immediately looked at Yuan Fengxue. After entering the Blood Sea, Yuan Fengxue's condition had been very bad. Night Sorrow was not sure how much he had recovered. "Brother Yi, don't worry. I'm fine. For everyone, Fengxue will do his best." Yuan Fengxue looked at Night Sorrow confidently and nodded. "Good. Let's kill this nine-tailed celestial fox." Night Sorrow roared and released his virtuous divine realm again. This time, he was mainly responsible for blocking the attacks of the blood corpse nine-tailed celestial fox. After realizing that the bewitching technique did not work on the 3 people in front of it, the blood corpse nine-tailed celestial fox launched a powerful attack. Although its strength was slightly weaker than the blood corpse primordial giant, it was still very powerful. It was still very difficult for Night Sorrow and the others to deal with it. However, as the battle progressed, the 3 people's tacit understanding became higher and higher. In the end, they successfully mastered the combination technique. They successfully suppressed the blood corpse nine-tailed celestial fox, and after a tough battle, they completely defeated it. After defeating the blood corpse nine-tailed celestial fox, Night Sorrow let out a long sigh of relief. As for Jin Xian, who had become the main character of a battle for the first time, he was excited and his confidence increased a lot. Yuan Fengxue asked, "Brother Yi, how are the people in your grotto heaven? Have they recovered?" Don't worry. After the blood corpse nine-tailed celestial fox was defeated, they all woke up. Night Sorrow knew that Yuan Fengxue was interested in the Myriad Sword sect and replied with a smile. At the same time, he looked at Jin Xian and said, "Brother Jin's ability to resist the bewitching technique is really impressive. If you were like the others just now, Fengxue and I wouldn't have been able to defeat the blood corpse nine-tailed celestial fox." "Brother Yi, you flatter me. I just don't want to tarnish my grandfather's reputation, so I don't have any distracting thoughts." Jin Xian replied modestly, and then asked about the situation of the others. "I'll ask them and see how they are doing." Night Sorrow replied to Yuan Fengxue and Jin Xian, then asked the Myriad Sword sect in the grotto heaven, "Brother Wan, how do you feel?" "Brother Yi, what did you experience just now? Why are we in your grotto heaven?" The Myriad Sword sect, who had just woken up and was still in a daze, immediately asked when he heard Night Sorrow's voice transmission. "You were affected by the blood corpse nine-tailed celestial fox's bewitching technique and lost your ability to resist. Therefore, you were taken into my grotto heaven." Night Sorrow said, and then told them about Yuan Fengxue and Jin Xian's performance. Hearing this, the people who had recovered and were released from the grotto heaven immediately expressed their gratitude to Yuan Fengxue and Jin Xian. Regarding this, Yuan Fengxue and Jin Xian were a little embarrassed. Jin Xian said modestly, "The main credit is Brother Yi. If it wasn't for Brother Yi this time, who knows how many times we would have died. The second test was really too difficult." It is indeed a little too difficult. But I feel that the harder part is still to come. Everyone's state was a little relaxed. Night Sorrow quickly reminded them that things were definitely not that simple. Just as his voice fell, everyone's expression changed. They saw that the remaining 8 blood corpses near the teleportation array had all moved and were attacking them. These 8 blood corpses belonged to different territories and their appearances were very different. However, each of their auras was not weaker than the 9-tailed celestial fox that they had just fought. The strongest of them was even stronger than the blood corpse ancient giant. "Brother Yi, what should we do? There are so many powerful blood corpses, we are no match at all." The Myriad Sword sect, who was originally smiling, immediately asked in horror when he saw the 8 blood corpses in front of him. "The difference in strength between the two sides is too great, I have no other choice." Night Sorrow's expression also changed greatly. The 8 blood corpses in front of them had revived at the same time and their strength was clearly suppressed by the 9 of them. Chapter 29:15. We can't beat them, and we can't run away either. It seems like we are powerless this time. Yuan Fengxue sighed as he realized that it would be difficult for them to survive the crisis. But it's an honor to fight alongside everyone. We can't accept the fact that we can't bring luck to the realm of the gods. When the danger comes, let's crush our identity plates together. It's better to be teleported out than to die in battle. We can only blame the enemy for being too strong. No territory participating in the second round can fight against this kind of blood corpses. Yang Qing said gloomily. The blood corpses in front of them were too strong, and they couldn't bring themselves to fight against them. I don't know who is trying to harm our realm of the gods. They put us in such a dangerous situation. The master of the Myriad Sword sect said angrily. Everyone, don't panic. Even if we have to crush our identity plates to be teleported out, we have to do it when we are absolutely no match for them. We haven't lost yet, so don't despair. If the realm of the gods doesn't get the right amount of luck, we will end up in a miserable state. We can't give up unless we have no other choice. Night Sorrow comforted everyone when he saw that they were not in a stable state of mind. He continued, "Just now, I suddenly had an idea. I feel that we can form groups of 3 and form a joint attack. We can try to form a joint attack formation with 3 groups. If we form a formation in groups, the power of the formation will definitely increase." Night Sorrow, who said this, felt that there was little hope because their strength was not enough to fight against the 8 blood corpses. As long as there is a glimmer of hope, we can't give up. Think about the fate of the realm of the gods if we are defeated. According to my idea, we should fight with our lives on the line. Don't think about giving up. When the nest is overturned, no egg will remain intact. Everyone should know this. Now that the pressure is on us, we have to bear it. Xiao Tianxian, who was silent for a while, gritted his teeth and said. As he spoke, he threw his identity plate into the sea of blood corpses. "Brother Xiao!" Jin Xian shouted when he saw Xiao Tianxian throw his identity plate away. Then he felt his body tremble. In his excitement, he threw his identity plate away as well. "Alright. At worst, we will die here. I, Master Wan Jian, am not afraid of death." As he spoke, a look of determination appeared on Master Wan Jian's face. He then took out his nameplate and threw it away. "Alright, I'll throw it away too. At worst, we will die." Seeing that the Myriad Sword sect had thrown away their nameplate, Yuan Fengxue threw it away as well. "If that's the case, let's all throw away our nameplates and fight to the death. If we lose, we will die. Victory is equivalent to saving the entire divine realm and the divine realm behind it." Everyone's identity plate, Master Wan Jian, S identity plate, Master Wan Jian, SSSSS kill, TSSSS end, Soon after, the remaining people also threw away their identity plates with a determined look on their faces. To them S2. If they could not help the celestial realm obtain more karmic luck, the celestial realm would definitely be devoured by other territories. We must kill the blood corpses in front of us, for the sake of the realm of the gods. The others roared as well. Their auras were dozens of times stronger than before. Roar! The 8 blood corpses were as ferocious as ever. If they were compared to the realm of the gods individually, the realm of the gods would be no match for them. But everyone in the realm of the gods was ready to risk their lives. In such a state, they were able to quickly integrate their joint attack formation into a cohesive whole. Their strength increased by a lot in an instant. Don't think about whether there is hope or not. Kill as many as we can. In the middle of the battle, Yishang roared and continued to command everyone to fight. Now, he had to use more soul energy than usual, but he didn't feel tired at all. His whole body, or the unit formed by the few of them, had entered a mysterious state. The 8 blood corpses were very strong, but in a real battle, they couldn't do anything to them in a short time. After fighting for a while, the 9 people in the realm of the gods successfully killed the weakest blood corpse mermaid. After killing him, the aura of those from the firmament territory grew even stronger. Master Wan Jian roared, "Good job, everyone! Keep it up. Do your best to kill all of them. For the realm of the gods, kill." Everyone roared and continued to fight the remaining 7 blood corpses. Although the formation consumed a lot of soul energy, they didn't care about the pills they had and kept swallowing them to maintain their condition. For example, Night Sorrow kept the 33 Heavens battle secret technique active. But the realm of the gods soon realized that the remaining 7 blood corpses had become much stronger after the blood corpse mermaid was killed. It felt like they were being nourished by the blood corpse mermaid. Moreover, under the condition of increasing their strength, they had completely fallen into a deep madness. That feeling of bloodlust and desperation made them extremely terrifying. Everyone, kill. No matter how strong the enemy is, if they want to destroy the last hope of the realm of the gods, they will have to step over us. Night Sorrow, who had raised his battle intent to the strongest state in his life, roared and began to burn his blood. This was the limitless body tempering art that he hadn't used in a long time. Now, he didn't need to break his arm to use it. Burn. Golden Crow bloodline. In the midst of the bitter battle, Jin Xian roared and began to burn his bloodline. When he completely turned into a golden crow, everyone realized that he was from the Golden Crow clan, the descendant of the Golden Crow Supreme. Everyone give it your all. Master Wan Jian can't hold back either. Great Divine Sword Technique. Transform into a sword. Master Wan Jian roared and used his ultimate technique, the Great Divine Sword Technique, to transform himself and his entire body into a giant sword. As for the others, they naturally didn't hold back and used their ultimate techniques. At this point, if they didn't use their forbidden techniques, they wouldn't have a chance of winning. At this time, the 7 blood corpses were completely enraged. They crazily fought with the realm of the gods. After a while, although the realm of the gods had successfully killed another blood corpse, 3 of them were injured and the formation was broken. Chapter 29:16. Everyone. The situation is critical now. In my opinion, although the divine artifact is important, it is nothing compared to our lives. At this critical moment, why don't we all self-detonate the half-step Supreme Being divine artifact? Perhaps it will have an unexpected effect. In this difficult moment, Night Sorrow suddenly had an idea. He felt that although a half-step Supreme Being divine artifact was hard to come by, it was not a pity to give it up when their lives were at stake. The self-detonation of a half-step Supreme Being divine artifact was much more powerful than any attack they could make. It was not something a combination attack could compare to. If they used it, they would definitely achieve great results. Although this sacrifice was huge, in this desperate moment, they could only make such a choice. That's right. Not only can we self-detonate the half-step Supreme Being divine artifact, We also have the sovereign divine artifact in our hands. In addition, we also have the divine talismans given by the supreme beings. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Myriad Sword Master also became spirited. They were forced into a desperate situation, and it seemed that their potential had increased by a lot. There are restrictions on the divine talismans, so we can only use the divine talismans given by the supreme beings to restore our lives. If we use the offensive divine talismans, we will be killed by the ancient battlefield. After Myriad Sword Master spoke, Xiao Tianxian, who was slightly more familiar with the rules, immediately reminded them. He warned everyone not to use the divine talismans that could directly kill cultivators. This was because offensive divine talismans were explicitly prohibited in the battle for luck. If they could be used casually, then it would not be a battle between supreme beings, but a battle between supreme beings and existences that surpassed supreme beings. At this time, Jin Xian said with a firm gaze, although the self-detonation of a half-step supreme being divine artifact is powerful, it is not realistic to kill a blood corpse. As a member of the Golden Crow clan, my speed is considered fast among everyone. I will find an opportunity to send the divine artifact into a blood corpse's mouth. Then I will make it self-detonate. Create an opportunity for me. In terms of raw strength, Jin Xian was the weakest among everyone. This was because he had been sealed since birth, and only awakened in the last era did he begin to cultivate. However, his speed was second only to Night Sorrow among everyone. Alright, but pay attention to your safety. Your own safety is the most important. Everyone cover Jin Xian. In addition, Feng Shui, Yang Qing, and Chang Lin, who are already injured, you have to take care of yourselves. Night Sorrow, who was holding back the strongest of the blood corpses, did not have the energy to care about anything else. He could only divert a bit of energy to give orders. Don't worry. I will create opportunities for Jin Xian. You guys stall the other blood corpses. The 10,000 Swords sect, who had transformed into a giant sword, used a secret technique to dissolve the sovereign artifact and fuse it into his own body. In the blink of an eye, his strength had greatly increased, and he suddenly blasted towards one of the skeleton creatures. As for the half-step supreme divine artifact, he couldn't bear to directly destroy it. Brother Wan, Brother Jin, we will do our best. After killing the 2 blood corpses, the original 8 blood corpses became 6. Other than the one that Night Sorrow was pinning down and the one that the Thousand Sword sect was attacking, there were still 4 left. After Xiao Tianxian activated his bloodline, he was able to temporarily hold off one of them. This was where the problem arose. Of the remaining 3, Yuan Fengshui, Yang Qing, and Nie Zhanglin were blocking one. Shui Chang Tian and Murongjilu also blocked one. In the end, there was still one that no one could fight against. Brother Wan, you go and block the last one. Leave this skeleton to me. Jin Xian saw that there was only one blood corpse left, and he attacked the only female cultivator present, Yuan Fengshui. He immediately shouted anxiously, asking 10,000 Swords sect to help Yuan Fengshui. He was prepared to use his own strength to deal with the blood corpse skeleton in front of him. Alright, take care of yourself. 10,000 Swords sect, who had just attacked the skeleton, immediately prepared to attack the blood corpse that was attacking Yuan Fengshui. At this time, Night Sorrow shouted, Brother Wan, continue to cooperate with Jin Xian. Leave the rest to me. Actually, at this time, Night Sorrow could not even take care of himself. Facing the strongest blood corpse, he was under a lot of pressure and could not spare any energy. But just now, he used the sea serpent eye to see the determination in Jin Xian's eyes. Jin Xian was very likely to sacrifice himself to kill the blood corpse skeleton. Night Sorrow could not accept watching his companion die in battle. After shouting, he used the Divine Origin Trapping Array and the Merit Trapping Array to bind the 2 blood corpses and attract their attention to himself. Then, he used the Void Dragon movement technique to temporarily stall them. Facing the 2 terrifying blood corpses alone, Night Sorrow did not have any power to fight back even though he had a half-step supreme divine artifact in hand. Relying on the power of the Golden Heavenly Halberd and the agility of the Void Dragon movement technique, he restrained the 2 blood corpses. At this time, the strength of the attack he was facing was definitely the strongest in his life. These two blood corpses must have been super experts when they were alive. Although the laws and essence of their bodies had all dissipated, their attacks were still very powerful and had vaguely surpassed the Sovereign Realm. If Night Sorrow had advanced to the Sovereign Realm, he would definitely not be afraid of them. But now, he was only an upper divine king and was obviously no match for them. For a time, he was in a very difficult situation. Every breath he took was very difficult. In less than 5 breaths, he was hit twice. While his divine domain was broken, his body was also severely injured. Jin Xian, this is a good opportunity. Quick, now is the time. At this moment, kill it. At the same time, the Myriad Sword Sect, who had used their strongest technique to temporarily suppress the blood corpse skeleton, suddenly roared and ordered Jin Xian to attack. He was clear that Night Sorrow was in a very dangerous situation and could be killed at any time. It's coming! Damn blood corpses, go to hell! Supreme Divine Artifact, explode! Jin Xian seized the opportunity and stabbed the half-step Supreme Divine Artifact into the skeleton's mouth, causing the artifact to explode. Boom! Under the huge impact, the blood corpse skeleton was forcibly smashed into pieces. The huge aftershock caused the hearts of the people present to palpitate. As for the huge blood sea, when the divine artifact exploded, it was blasted into a huge wave of blood. Such a huge wave was clearly seen by Ji Feng and the others who were watching from the sidelines. Such power? This is an attack of a certain degree. This blood celestial body is indeed not simple. Uncle's resources were indeed not given in vain. Ji Ling, who was behind Ji Feng, could not help but sigh. She was the cousin of Ji Feng and Ji Yun. She was very strong and was the 3rd strongest person in the Divine Immortal Territories team. It should be that the people of the Divine World Territory could not hold on and have started to fight with their lives on the line. Ji Feng observed for a while and said, "It should be the final battle now. Let's go. Let's kill all the people of the Divine World Territory together and try not to give them the chance to crush their identity plates." Don't worry, cousin, my secret treasure can temporarily paralyze cultivators. When the battle starts, I will cooperate with you and kill them one by one to avenge cousin Ji Yun. Chapter 29:17. Cousin Feng asked you to stay behind so that you can kill all the people from the heavenly realm. Ji Feng's eyes flashed fiercely. He then ordered, "Warship, set sail. We want to kill all the inferior cultivators in the heavenly realm." After Ji Feng gave the order, the warship from the heavenly immortal realm soared into the sky. It flew from the neighboring planet to the blood star where Night Sorrow and the rest were. At this moment, Yi Shang and the others, who had no idea what was going on, were still fighting desperately with the blood corpses. Earlier, Jin Xian had successfully destroyed one of the blood corpses by detonating his divine artifact. Wan Jianzong had also successfully solved the problem that Night Sorrow was facing. He had separated the 2 blood corpses that were chasing after Night Sorrow. He and Night Sorrow were fighting 1 blood corpses each. At this time, Night Sorrow shouted, "Jin Xian, go help Ziliu and Chang'an. Let's see if the 3 of you can kill one of them quickly. As long as we can kill one more, it will be easy for us." But Jin Xian replied and went to help Murong Ziliu and Xue Changlan. However, although the 3 of them quickly performed a joint attack, the strength of their attacks was not enough. They could only injure the blood corpses but could not kill them in a short period of time. At this time, Night Sorrow, Wan Jianzong, and Xiao Tianxian were having a hard time fighting the blood corpses. Especially Wan Jianzong, who had continuously performed his strongest technique. He could feel that his divine origin energy could not keep up with his consumption. Seeing that the situation was not right, Xue Changtian immediately shouted, "I came here to detonate my divine artifact and kill the blood corpse in front of us. But we will cooperate with you." Murong Zilia shouted, and together with Jin Xian, they began to fight the blood corpse in front of Xue Changtian. Supreme Divine Artifact, detonate. After a few breaths, Xue Changtian found an opportunity and successfully used his half-step Supreme Divine Artifact to destroy the blood corpse in front of him. Mission accomplished. After killing the blood corpse, Xue Changtian had consumed a lot of his divine origin energy. However, Murong Jinlu and Jin Xian no longer had any opponents in front of them. They immediately rushed forward and helped Xiao Tianxian block the attacks of the blood corpses. After the three of them had held the blood corpse back for a while, Xue Changtian, who had swallowed some medicinal pellets, had recovered quite a bit of his strength. Immediately, he started to engage the three of them and the blood corpse. At this time, everyone in the god world was in a desperate situation, and their potential was stimulated far beyond normal. After the four of them joined forces, they quickly killed the blood corpse in front of them. By the time the blood corpse in front of them was killed, there were only 3 blood corpses left. The crisis was more than half resolved. We're really lucky. Thanks to Brother Ye's half-step Supreme Divine Artifact, we would have been killed a long time ago. The Myriad Sword sect, whose god essence energy had been depleted, revealed a smile as if he had survived a calamity. At this time, he was no longer able to transform into a sword. His fighting strength had fallen to rock bottom. In fact, he was no longer comparable to the weakest Gold Xian. However, this did not affect the overall situation. After everyone cooperated with Night Sorrow to get rid of the strongest blood corpse, everyone in the god world heaved a sigh of relief. I'm not sure if we will encounter stronger blood corpses after killing the 2 blood corpses in front of us. Yuan Fengxue, who was fighting the blood corpse with injuries, said tiredly. At this time, she had consumed a lot of divine origin energy. She was almost relying on her mental strength to support herself. At this rate, if there are stronger blood corpses, they should be supreme-level blood corpses. We won't be able to resist them at all. The Myriad Sword sect, who was already exhausted, sighed. His condition was no longer suitable for battle. There shouldn't be any more. There are no more blood corpses near the teleportation portal. There shouldn't be any stronger blood corpses. Using the Sea Serpent's eye to observe the teleportation portal's location, Night Sorrow said, I hope so. If it comes again, our divine origin energy can't keep up. Xiao Tianxian, who had also consumed a lot of divine origin energy, smiled helplessly. This battle was too difficult. If everyone had not chosen to fight with their backs against the wall at the critical moment, everyone would have exceeded their usual standards and thought of a way to self-destruct their divine artifacts. Otherwise, they would not have been able to resist. Then, with everyone's cooperation, the remaining 2 blood corpses were successfully killed. After the last blood corpse was killed, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. If they were not in the blood sea, even Night Sorrow wanted to lie on the ground and rest for a while. He was already on the verge of death, let alone the others. We have completed an impossible mission. After waiting in the blood sea for a while, they did not see any other blood corpses. The Myriad Sword sect could not help but roar. Everyone else in the protective divine domain laughed as well. Moreover, no one dared to be careless. They quickly swallowed all kinds of elixirs to recover. Yuan Fengxue, Yang Qing, and Nie Zhanglin, who were more seriously injured, went to Night Sorrow's space cave to recover temporarily. Everyone can get closer to the teleportation portal. The force that was restraining us has disappeared. Night Sorrow was the first to recover. When he found that the force that was restraining them had disappeared, he immediately went to the teleportation portal to check it out. When the others had recovered, he quickly summoned them. They had killed 8 blood corpses without any casualties. They had only lost 2 quasi-supreme divine artifacts. This made him very satisfied. The others were the same. Everyone felt that they had survived a disaster. Moreover, after going through a life-and-death battle, their cohesion had increased a lot. Their strength had also increased to a certain extent. This was the reward of going through a life-and-death battle. I have checked it. The teleportation portal can be used. However, I am not sure where it will teleport us. Night Sorrow, who had checked the teleportation portal 3 times, said. Then he asked everyone has almost recovered. Should we use the teleportation portal? Of course we should use it. Didn't we risk our lives to get closer to the teleportation portal? Hearing this, the Myriad Sword sect immediately shouted. At this time, he had completely recovered. However, he could not use his bloodline talent for a short period of time. His strength had been affected to a certain extent. The other's choice was the same as the Myriad Sword sect. No one wanted to stay on the blood celestial body. But, come up, I will activate the teleportation portal. Seeing that everyone nodded in agreement, Night Sorrow took out some eternal divine crystals and activated the teleportation portal. As the light beam descended from the sky, they instantly disappeared from the bottom of the sea. When they reappeared, Night Sorrow and the others found themselves in the void. Under the void, there was also an endless blood sea. Just as everyone was surprised, Night Sorrow saw a huge floating battleship in the clouds. This battleship was made of unknown material. It was completely black and looked very old. It was probably a product of ancient times. Looking down and then at the void, Night Sorrow judged, I think this battleship is very likely the reward for defeating the blood corpses. If there are no accidents, it can take us away from this celestial body. I hope so. Let's go up and give it a try. I really don't want to stay on this damn blood celestial body for a moment. After following Night Sorrow onto the battleship, the Myriad Sword sect said. At this time, not only him, but the others were also in a hurry to leave. Chapter 29:18. Where did this battleship come from? Is it someone from another territory, or is it another test we need to take? When the huge battleship floated over, Thousand Sword sect, who wanted to leave the blood-colored star, immediately said helplessly. He did not want to continue to be tested by the blood-colored star because the battle just now was already so difficult. If something else came, it would really be fatal. It's someone from the Celestial Immortal Territory. I saw Ji Feng from the Celestial Immortal Territory. Everyone, be careful and prepare for battle. He's definitely not here with good intentions. Night Sorrow, who had opened the eye of the sea serpent, saw Ji Feng's figure on the battleship. He knew that it was not as simple as a coincidence that Ji Feng appeared here. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Jin Xian immediately frowned and said, This Ji Feng just finished showing off in the celestial realm. It's definitely not a coincidence that he appeared near us now. I think that our teleportation to the blood-colored star is related to the Celestial Immortal Territory. The Celestial Immortal Territory has so much power to arrange our landing location. Although Night Sorrow also had doubts in his heart, he felt that the Celestial Immortal Territory should not have such great power. Naturally, they don't have such great power, but they can bribe people from the top 10 territories and let them tamper with it. The top 10 territories in the first and second round of competition have the ability to control it. Jin Xian explained. The Golden Crow had told him about this before. I see. Hearing Jin Xian's explanation, not only Night Sorrow understood. The others also immediately figured out what was going on. Without a doubt, the appearance of the Celestial Immortal Territory here was definitely not as simple as a coincidence. They were definitely premeditated to deal with the Celestial Realm. So it's those bastards from the Celestial Immortal Territory who are targeting us. They caused us to fall into this blood-colored star and almost killed us. We must not let them have an easy time. After roughly guessing what was going on, Thousand Sword sect immediately became angry. He looked at Night Sorrow and said, Brother Yi, look at how many people are on their battleship. Let's attack and destroy them directly. Take revenge for being framed. They caused us to lose 2 half-step supreme artifacts and almost eliminated us. We must take revenge. Yuan Fengxue also said in Night Sorrow's grotto heaven. Although she had not fully recovered from her injuries, she still wanted to fight. Everyone else's attitude was basically the same, which was to fight. He had to make the people in the Celestial Immortal Territory pay the price. Alright, since everyone wants to fight. In that case, let's have a casual battle and annihilate the Celestial Immortals team. Night Sorrow nodded and agreed to everyone's request for battle. He then observed the battleships of the Celestial Immortals Territory. There are more than 20 sovereigns on their warship. 5 of them had the power of a higher hegemon. The rest were middle and lower level sovereigns. Other than Ji Feng, who was surprisingly strong, there was also a woman beside him who was quite strong. It would be slightly rash of us to make a move. However, it doesn't mean that we don't have the strength to fight. There are more than 20 sovereigns. It's going to be difficult for one person to deal with 2 or 3 of them. But he still had to fight. We have to make them understand that there is no good ending for those who dare to mess with the God realm. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Master Wan Jian's body exploded with endless battle intent. The rest of the people were more or less the same. Good. Then let's fight. Their aura is far inferior to the blood corpses. They shouldn't be a match for us. Observing the celestial immortals' territory through the battleship's formation, Night Sorrow said to everyone, then suddenly wondered, they don't seem to be able to see us? I wonder if it's a trick or something. Standing on the dark battleship, they could clearly see the enemy's battleship. But Night Sorrow discovered that the people on the celestial immortals' territory's battleship did not even lock their gazes on their battleship. This was obviously a little strange. Logically speaking, if they really wanted to deal with the God Realm's people, they could just swarm them when they saw them. With more than 20 sovereigns, there was no reason for them to resort to tricks. No matter if it's a trick or not, we'll just attack directly. Everyone, get ready. Don't use the half-step supreme artifact in your hands, just use the sovereign artifact in combination with the joint attack technique. Master Wan Jian, who had taken out a long sword, said and took the lead to launch a probing attack on the celestial immortals' territory's battleship. Even Master Wan Jian moved. The others naturally couldn't just watch. Even the few people who were recuperating in Night Sorrow's grotto heaven came out and followed. They were prepared to completely annihilate the celestial immortals' territory's people. However, when Master Wan Jian's sword light bombarded the celestial immortals' territory's battleship, the God Realm's people were shocked to find that his sword light pierced through the air. That feeling was like piercing through a mirage, directly piercing through it. The celestial immortals' territory's battleship was like an illusion. He didn't attack it at all. Brother Yi, what do you think is going on? After Master Wan Jian pierced through the air, the others' attacks also all missed. They didn't hit the celestial immortals' territory's battleship at all. They were all astonished, Murong Ji-Lu asked doubtfully. At this moment, they were somewhat puzzled. What the hell is going on? I'm not sure either, everyone observed them. Night Sorrow said and once again caught up with the battleship. Floating on top of the battleship, he observed the people on the battleship. After observing for a while, he confirmed that this is definitely the celestial immortals' territory's battleship. Moreover, Ji Feng and the others are all real. It's just that they don't seem to be in the same space as them. But because of the characteristics of space, they can see the celestial immortals' territory's people, but the other party can't see them at all. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow suddenly came to a realization and said with a smile, I seem to have understood something. The celestial immortals' territory's people should be the same as us. They came to the Blood Star and were trapped. They should be like us. They must find the teleportation array and pass through the checkpoint, only then can they successfully leave. If that's the case, then it's interesting. They really can't bear the evil that they brought upon themselves. Xue Changtian, who was also observing the celestial immortals' territory's people, suddenly laughed loudly. The other celestial realms people's expression is also extremely playful. They are completely clear how difficult it is to deal with those blood corpses. Soon after, they all began to observe the celestial immortals' territory's movements. Just as Night Sorrow thought, the celestial immortals' territory's people soon found themselves trapped in the Blood Star and like headless flies, they began to look for a way out. After a long time, they finally dived into the Blood Sea. When the other party dived into the Blood Sea, Night Sorrow and the others who still had lingering fear did not continue to follow and observe. However, about 4 hours later, the Blood Sea began to tremble violently. Very obviously, the celestial immortals' territory's people also encountered the same test as the celestial realms people. Seeing this scene, Thousand Sword Sect suddenly laughed and said, "Ha! They really lifted a rock and smashed it on their own feet. Brother Yi, what do you think we should do next? Chapter 29:19. Yes. Brother Yi, what do you think we should do? Jin Xian also asked. Unknowingly, everyone had completely regarded Night Sorrow as their leader. They were used to asking for his opinion first. Seeing everyone's gaze on his face, Night Sorrow revealed a smile on his face. He looked at the Blood Sea and said, "It's definitely not a coincidence that Celestial Immortals' territory appeared here. Moreover, there's still about 100 years until the end of the battle for Providence. We're not in a hurry to leave and fight. Therefore, we can set up a formation in this void. If they can succeed, do you understand what I mean?" Understood. Of course. We must let those people from the heavenly immortal territory understand what it means to bring evil upon oneself is the hardest to bear. Thousand Sword Master's murderous aura soared into the sky as he said this with a rather imposing manner. Next, I'll set up a formation. Everyone, quickly recover and then wait for the exhausted. If they can successfully leave the Blood Sea, they'll most likely appear here. At that time, we'll kill all of them. Let them understand that our celestial realm territory is not to be targeted by anyone. Night Sorrow instructed and began to set up the formation. He felt that the people of Celestial Immortals' territory could crush their nameplates and leave, but they must not slip away in front of them. At this time, Xiao Tianxian added, on the warship just now, there should be more than 20 Celestial Immortals' territory cultivators. This is clearly not everyone in the Celestial Immortals' territory. We need to be prepared. If there are others in their space grotto heaven. If the number reaches 40 or 50, then will be really difficult to deal with. However, that's under normal circumstances. As long as they enter my formation, they have no chance of winning. Originally, Night Sorrow only planned to set up a simple trap formation, but after Xiao Tianxian finished speaking, he immediately put more thought into the formation. By the time Night Sorrow finished setting up the formation, everyone had more or less recovered in the formation. After waiting for half a month on the Black Warship, the people of Celestial Immortals' territory had yet to come out. However, the Blood Sea was still surging with huge waves. Obviously, the battle was still ongoing. Night Sorrow and the rest completely repaired the Black Warship and studied how it sailed. They gave it a new name. Rising God. It meant the rise of the God realm. Whether or not the territory of the God realm can rise to power depends on the 9 of us. In this battle of Providence, we must not only successfully advance to the final. He had to get a good result in the finals. Our goal is not only to advance to the top 1,000, but also to stay at the front as much as possible. After praising the name Night Sorrow, Master Wan Jian said in high spirits. In the first and second round of the competition, there weren't many strong territories. And after advancing to the finals, no matter what the rules are, we may encounter a territory that is too strong to fight against. What happened in the Celestial Immortals' territory today was a wake-up call for us. Some processes in the Battle of Providence can be manipulated. Night Sorrow explained after hearing the 10,000 Swords Sect's words. Right now, my territory in the Celestial Realm has only advanced to the second round, so it hasn't attracted the attention of other territories yet. When we advance to the finals of the Battle of Providence, it's absolutely impossible for those dominions that once attacked us not to deal with us. Therefore, with our current strength, it's simply not enough. Everyone must improve their strength by one step within 100 years. At most, each of us can advance to upper-level Dominator. It's not easy to improve qualitatively. Yuan Fengshua looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Why don't we do our best to help you advance to the Dominator realm? At the upper-level Divine King realm, you can fight an upper-level Dominator. If you can advance to the Dominator realm, you might be able to fight against some powerful Dominators. I feel that this is the only way our territory in the Celestial Realm can stand firm in the finals." At this point, Yuan Fengshua looked at everyone and said, "What do you all think?" Yes, what Fengshua said makes sense. It's very difficult for our strength to improve greatly in a short 100 years, but Brother Yi is different. As long as he advances from the Divine King realm to the Dominator realm, his strength will increase by one level. Master Wan Jian agreed after Yuan Fengxue finished speaking. Within 100 years, if they plundered enough laws and essence, everyone present could advance to the upper-level dominator realm. There would be some improvement, but it was still an advancement. But Night Sorrow was completely different. He was advancing, and his strength would increase by a large margin. Good. Then from now on, let's let Night Sorrow absorb all the laws and essence we obtain and strive to advance to the dominator realm within 100 years. Xiao Tianxian also looked at Night Sorrow in agreement. At this moment, Night Sorrow said, "Everyone, there's no need to do this. Night Sorrow's advancement will greatly increase his strength. This is a fact. However, Night Sorrow's speed of absorbing laws and essence is limited. If we obtain large amounts of resources, we still need to distribute them properly and strive to let everyone advance to the peak of the dominator realm. That's fine too. However, no matter what, we have to be the first to obtain large amounts of resources." Master Wan Jian nodded and said, "Then we have to make the best use of our time. Even if we have enmity with the celestial realm, we can't keep waiting here. How about this, we'll wait for them for half a year. If they don't come out in half a year, we'll take the battleship out to battle. They clearly came from other celestial bodies, so the second round should be the celestial body battle." "Good. Then it's decided." With regards to Master Wan Jian's decision, Night Sorrow expressed his agreement. However, they couldn't just wait idly on the battleship. The 9 of them once again split into 3 groups and practiced the 3-3 joint attack formation. After 3 months of practice, they had already thoroughly mastered the art of joint attack. Similarly, they had also completely mastered the joint attack formation of 9 people. In the process of cooperation, the 9 of them gradually gained a deeper understanding of each other. The 9 of them from the celestial realm seemed to have become a whole, and their cohesion had greatly increased. After completely mastering the joint attack formation, everyone rested on the rising god for a short while before continuing to wait for the people from the celestial realm. In the next few months, the battle at the bottom of the sea did not stop. However, as they waited for close to 5 months, the battle in the Blood Sea became more and more intense. It was as if the entire Blood Celestial realm was about to be shattered. This level of battle was much more intense than the battle that Night Sorrow and the others fought. Clearly, the opponents they encountered were much stronger than the ones from the celestial realm. Everyone was very curious as to what the people from the celestial realm had encountered. "Let me see what's going on down there." Chapter 29-20. For the past few months, Night Sorrow would occasionally open the sea serpent's eye to see if the battle was still ongoing. He would not open it during normal times to avoid unnecessary consumption. The battle this time was too intense, and it immediately attracted his attention. After observing for a while, Night Sorrow frowned and said, "There are 11 people left in the divine immortal territory, and they are facing 2 blood corpses. If there are no accidents, these 2 blood corpses will be killed very soon. Let's get ready. This might be the last wave they will encounter. Alright, should we use our half-step supreme divine artifacts?" Hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone began to make preparations. Murongguiji asked as he was not sure. "Take them. Those with half-step supreme divine artifacts, get ready. Try to kill them in one blow. Brother Yi has already set up a formation, and none of them will be able to escape. In the second round, we are not afraid that the half-step supreme divine artifacts will be leaked." After Murongguiji spoke, Wan Jianzong immediately said gloomily. Xiao Tianxian, who was emitting a murderous aura, said at this time, "It doesn't matter if we don't attack, but once we attack, try to kill them as quickly as possible to prevent one of them from crushing their identity plates and revealing that we have a large number of half-step supreme divine artifacts. Alright, we won't show any mercy to those who set us up," Yuan Fengxue said coldly. After everyone was in position, Night Sorrow added, "When the battle starts, immediately use the formation and don't give them any chance. I don't want to see anyone die in the divine world territory. Alright, the 9 of us will advance and retreat together." Jin Shen smiled. Although he had already detonated his half-step supreme divine artifact, He was not worried about his own safety. At this time, under the leadership of Ji Feng, the divine immortal territory's people successfully defeated the last 2 blood corpses. After killing the 2 blood corpses, Ji Feng let out a long breath and said, "We should be able to leave this place now, right? I didn't expect the Blood Stars test to be so difficult that we lost so many people. This Blood Star is indeed terrifying. I wonder if those people from the Divine World territory have successfully left." While walking towards the teleportation array, Ji Feng's cousin, Ji Ling, frowned. Having fought to such an extent, every single person in the heavenly immortal territory was physically and mentally exhausted. Moreover, even the medicinal pills in their possession had been almost completely consumed. It could be seen how intense the battles had been in the past few months. This place is so terrifying. What kind of strength do we have to pay such a high price to successfully reach the teleportation array? Those trash from the divine world must have fallen and sunk into the depths of the blood sea like those blood corpses. Ji Feng's injuries weren't too serious, but his energy was exhausted as he spoke with an unruly expression. He didn't even put the people of the divine world in his eyes. At this time, Ji Ling, who had finished inspecting the transportation array, looked at Ji Feng and asked, "Cousin, there's no problem with the transportation array. It should be able to transport us out of the blood sea. Should we recover first before going out, or should we leave directly?" "Recover what? This place is already so scary. If an even scarier group of blood corpses appears later, we won't even have a place to cry. Everyone, get into the teleportation array. We're leaving now." Ji Feng grumbled before taking the lead to step onto the teleportation array. "I'm afraid that we'll run into people from other territories when we go out. I can't fight in my current state." Ji Ling saw that Ji Feng wasn't too happy and immediately explained, "Let's talk about it after we teleport out." Ji Feng didn't listen to Ji Ling's advice. When the remaining 10 cultivators from the divine immortal territory had all boarded the teleportation array, he immediately used the Eternal God Crystal to activate it. After a moment, they were teleported into the array that Night Sorrow had set up. At the same time, a black battleship appeared in the void. This battleship was obviously a reward for the people of the divine immortal territory. However, when they saw the light of day again, before they had time to inspect the battleship, they discovered Night Sorrow and the rest. "It's you, the trash from the divine world. You guys actually came out too." When Ji Feng saw Night Sorrow clearly, his face was filled with disbelief. In an instant, he began to regret not listening to Ji Ling and recovering properly inside. Who's the genius and who's the trash? We'll have a conclusion soon. Night Sorrow's face revealed a trace of a smile. At this time, the people of the divine immortal territory were almost exhausted and had no strength left to fight. There were only 2 results waiting for them. One was to be killed by the people of the divine world. The other was to crush their identity nameplates and give up on this battle for Providence. Bastard! If it weren't for the fact that we were exhausted to this extent, you guys from the divine world would also be able to do whatever you want. Although Ji Feng was dissatisfied with his words, he actually sent a voice transmission to everyone in the divine immortal territory to hold their identity nameplates in their hands. They were ready to give up at any time. It seems that you guys are very unwilling?" Night Sorrow sneered and said, "If I'm not wrong, you guys were originally prepared to wait for us to exhaust ourselves to a certain extent before surrounding and killing us, right? Now that things have developed to this extent, it's called good and evil retribution. So what if I am? All of you from the divine world deserve to die. It's a pity that I, Ji Feng, am a little unlucky. I can't kill you with my own hands." Ji Feng roared with a gloomy expression. He was very unwilling to accept the fact that things had developed to this extent. He was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. At this time, Night Sorrow smiled again and asked, "Do you think that you guys can be our match after recovering? But you're prepared to give us a chance to recover?" Hearing Night Sorrow's words, before Ji Feng could answer, Ji Ling answered. After saying that, she continued, "I heard that although you guys from the divine world aren't very strong, you guys are still trustworthy. Since you've expressed your intention, you won't regret it, right? You're really twisting words and forcing logic. However, what's the harm in letting you guys recover? Night Sorrow glanced at everyone in disdain and said sarcastically, "If any of you dare to destroy your identity nameplate and fight to the death, I can let him recover. One-on-one or group battle, it's up to you. How about it? If you guys from the divine world dare to swear, I, Ji Feng, will be the first to throw away my identity nameplate." Ji Feng, who was originally very unwilling, immediately became spirited when he heard Night Sorrow's words. In fact, the other people from the divine immortal territory were the same. No one was willing to accept the fate of being eliminated the moment they entered the ancient battlefield. So what if I swear? I, Night Sorrow, swear in the name of the divine world that as long as anyone from the divine immortal territory dares to throw away their identity nameplates, we will fight to the death. None of us from the divine world territory will make a move first. Otherwise, the divine world territory will be destroyed immediately. Night Sorrow looked at Ji Feng and swore word by word. He cultivated the power of virtue, but he did not hesitate to take revenge. The other party was his enemy, so he was not prepared to show mercy. Chapter 29-21. Good. Very good. Today I, Ji Feng, have a whole new level of respect for your heavenly realm territory. After Night Sorrow made his vow, the other heavenly realm people also repeated it. Ji Feng's face suddenly revealed a sinister smile. He first said politely, then said, "But you are too arrogant today, and you will pay the price for it. Everyone in the heavenly immortal territory, listen up. Use your fastest speed to recover your strength." Young Master Feng. Originally, they thought that they would have to crush their nameplates and return to the heavenly immortal territory, but now, they did not hesitate to recover their strength on the heavenly immortal territory's battleship. Everyone, including Ji Ling, had the same mentality. They felt that the heavenly realm territory was letting the tiger return to the mountain. They were tigers that could tear the other party apart. As long as they recovered, they could win. Until now. None of the cultivators in the heavenly immortal territory thought highly of the heavenly realm territory. Even the most cautious Ji Ling did not take Night Sorrow and the others seriously. If you want to make the heavenly realm territory pay the price, you need to be strong. Let's wait and see. After speaking to Ji Feng, Night Sorrow transmitted to the heavenly immortal territory people, saying, "When the array is activated, their strength will be weakened by a lot. However, the people in the heavenly immortal territory are all good at using swords, and can form a very powerful sword array. Everyone, remember what we have practiced. Try to break their sword array as soon as possible." While waiting for the heavenly immortal territory people, Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to observe their sword array. He also let the heavenly realm people practice how to break it. Don't worry. Their sword array is dead, but our combined attack array is alive. We will definitely succeed in breaking them. Myriad Sword Master said fiercely. Jin Xian also said with killing intent, "Brother Yi, don't worry. The time to prove the heavenly realm territory has come. We will explode with our greatest potential." All these years, the heavenly realm territory had been too weak, and it made the heavenly realm people very angry. Everyone wanted to prove themselves. Moreover, the heavenly immortal territory people did not take them seriously when facing the heavenly realm territory people. This made the heavenly realm cultivators extremely angry. While waiting, Night Sorrow explained the strategy to them. At the same time, after some discussion, they decided to use their strongest techniques, joint attack formations, and half-step supreme divine artifacts. His goal was to break down the enemy's resistance as soon as possible under the powerful attack. That's the basic situation. Everyone, prepare for battle. By the time the Celestial Immortals had finished discussing their strategy, the Celestial Immortals had almost fully recovered. Night Sorrow looked at the enemy in front of him and said, although he cultivated the power of virtue, he had never been soft-hearted when dealing with ruthless enemies. The people from the celestial immortal territory had caused them to fall into the blood sea astral body and almost lost their lives there. This was a great enmity of life and death. We've recovered. People of the divine world, prepare to die. After everyone in the heavenly immortal domain recovered, Ji Feng's body instantly exploded with a powerful killing intent. He was completely different from how he was a moment ago. Kill. 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 The other people from the celestial immortal domain shouted the word, kill, in unison. At this time, Night Sorrow sneered. It seems like you haven't thrown away your identity nameplates. Are you afraid that you can't escape after losing the battle, so you're shamelessly leaving a way out? It doesn't matter if we throw it away or not. We don't need it anyway. Ji Feng's face revealed a disdainful smile. Obviously, the people from the celestial immortal domain were not going to throw away their identity nameplates. This was completely shameless. Alright, in that case, it doesn't matter if you throw it away or not. The people from the celestial immortal domain went back on their words. The celestial immortal domain people were very angry, but Night Sorrow calmed down. Although he was angry at the other party's actions, he had the ability to deal with it. Of course it doesn't matter. For dead people like you, it doesn't matter if we throw away our identity nameplates or not. Ji Feng said with a fake smile. Then he shouted, Celestial immortal domain people, kill them. At the same time, the people from the celestial immortal domain people all pulled out the longswords at their waists. Their weapons were all silver longswords, but each longsword had a different pattern on it. The craftsmanship was very delicate. After they pulled out their swords, they immediately formed a sword formation and charged towards the celestial immortal domain people. 10 people, standing in 10 different positions, waved their longswords together, as if forming a sharp picture scroll, and attacked the people from the celestial immortal domain people. This is a territorial secret technique that was comprehended from the celestial immortal painting. Your celestial immortal domain people's inheritance has been cut off long ago. You are simply powerless to resist. Ji Feng, who was at the center of the formation, had a face full of superiority. And the inheritance of the celestial immortal domain was indeed as he said. Back then, it was taken away by a powerful domain. Even if the inheritance was taken away, my celestial immortal domain is not something that trash like you can look down on. Hearing Ji Feng mention the humiliation of the celestial immortal domain people, Master Wan Jian immediately took out his divine artifact. What's the use of such fancy tricks? Xiao Tianxian, who had not spoken for a long time, also spoke at this time. Night Sorrow, on the other hand, sent a telepathic message to everyone. Remember the main points of our practice. Go. Kill. Just as Night Sorrow's voice fell, the 9 people from the celestial immortal domain once again divided into 3 groups and used a joint attack technique. And on top of that, they formed a joint attack formation. The sword formation of the celestial immortal domain people had long been studied by Night Sorrow using the sea serpent's eye. But the joint attack formation of the celestial immortal domain people was something that Ji Feng and the others from the celestial immortal domain had never seen before. For a moment, they, who originally had an infinite sense of superiority in their hearts, were flabbergasted. They felt that although their sword formation was exquisite, it was obvious that every move was targeted. And soon, Ji Feng and Ji Ling discovered that most of the people from the celestial immortal domain people had half-step supreme divine artifacts in their hands. The gap between the two sides in terms of divine artifacts was like a ravine between heaven and earth. If this battle continued, the celestial immortal domain people would not stand a chance at all. This is not good. The celestial immortal domain is much stronger than we thought. Everyone, crush the identity plates in your hands, or we will all die here. Less than 15 minutes into the battle, Ji Feng helplessly gave the order. He was so indignant that he almost broke his teeth from clenching them. But in the face of the joint attack formation of the celestial immortal domain, there was nothing he could do. Now you understand that you are just a frog at the bottom of a well, right? We haven't even activated the formation, and you guys are already done for. Master Wan Jian mocked disdainfully when he heard Ji Feng's shout. At this time, not only him, but the other cultivators from the celestial immortal domain also felt a sense of exaltation. Chapter 29-22. After Night Sorrow joined the celestial realm became completely different. If it was in the past, they wouldn't have the slightest chance when facing the territory of a formidable heavenly immortal. But now, under the circumstances that they hadn't activated the formation, they'd caused the heavenly immortal to be unable to fight back at all. Everyone in the heavenly realm, who were originally lacking in confidence, was now filled with the desire to win. While the 10,000 Swords sect mocked Ji Feng, the celestial realm's forces continued their fierce assault. They have a large number of half-step Supreme Being artifacts, and their formations are extremely powerful. We are no match for them at all. Everyone listen to Cousin Ji Feng's words. Crush your nameplates immediately. At this time, after Ji Feng spoke, no one from the celestial immortal territory took out their doppelganger nameplates. Ji Ling shouted anxiously. She didn't even have the energy to send a voice transmission. I'll activate the formation. Ji Feng is the core of the enemy. We'll surround him with all our strength and not give him any chance to escape. Everyone in the heavenly immortal domain had betrayed him. Although Night Sorrow did not have the confidence to keep all of them here, he had the confidence to keep Ji Feng here. As long as they could kill Ji Feng, today's battle would not have been in vain. Without any hesitation, he immediately activated the formation and weakened the strength of everyone in the celestial immortal's territory. Kill! When the sky changed color, everyone in the celestial world understood that Night Sorrow had activated the spell formation. Suddenly, a deafening roar resounded. The way he shouted the word kill now was completely different from before. He was truly prepared to keep everyone in the heavenly immortal's territory here and kill them. It was not just a simple slogan. After the sky changed color, everyone in the celestial immortal territory immediately felt that something was wrong with their bodies. None of them dared to hesitate in the slightest. They were all prepared to take out their identity plates. However, before they could even use it, they were surprised to find that the people from the God world who had been fighting with them had suddenly turned into monsters. They had all changed their targets. Soon, they found the people from the divine world, and their target was the strongest person in the heavenly immortal territory, Ji Feng. Ji Feng, who was trapped, was attacked by the combined attacks of the 9 people. Although he tried his best to resist, he was hit continuously. Even self-preservation had become an extravagant hope, so how could he have the chance to take out his identity plate? As he fought, he glared at Yishang and said, "Even if I die today, the secret of your territory in the God realm will be exposed. Just think about it. Who are the ones targeting the divine realm? As long as you show any signs of yourself, you will immediately suffer a fatal blow. Wait for the despair you will inevitably face. You're the one in despair now. You don't have to worry about my territory in the divine world." With the golden heavenly halberd in hand, after weakening Ji Feng's strength, Night Sorrow could easily crush him with his own strength. At this moment, under the joint attack of the 9 of them, Ji Feng didn't have the slightest ability to fight back. They didn't kill him immediately because they wanted to use this method to keep the others here. Seeing that Ji Feng was surrounded, none of the people from the heavenly immortal domain crushed their identity plates. Especially Ji Ling, seeing Ji Feng being surrounded, it seemed like he was about to die. Warriors of the celestial immortal territory, follow me and save my cousin Ji Feng. He is the future hope of my celestial immortal territory. He absolutely cannot die. Although everyone in the celestial immortal territory was fearful, none of them dared to crush their identity plates immediately. Under Ji Ling's command, they went forward to rescue Ji Feng. Are you stupid? Get lost. They're using me to lure you over. Seeing the people from the celestial immortal territory rushing over under the lead of his cousin Ji Ling, Ji Feng, who was already in despair, instantly roared crazily. While he was roaring, Master Wan Jian chopped off his chin with a sword. You bunch of demons! I'll kill you all. Seeing Ji Feng in such a miserable state, Ji Ling went completely crazy. Under her lead, the people from the celestial immortal territory who had already lost their will to fight braced themselves and charged forward. Stupid! Stupid! You are all too stupid! The people from the divine world are all demons. You're just sacrificing your lives for nothing. Ji Feng, who was continuously injured, no longer had the ability to speak. He transmitted his voice to everyone. When the battle came, he couldn't help but shed tears of hatred. We're cruel? Or you're despicable? If it wasn't for your celestial immortal territory, why would our divine world land directly on the blood star and almost die in the blood sea? You were prepared to continue adding insult to injury, but ended up like this. This is completely self-inflicted evil. Don't act like a victim. Seeing the grief and anger of the people from the celestial immortal territory, Xiao Tianxian said coldly. The people from the celestial immortal territory were originally prepared to harm them. If they had the slightest bit of mercy, they would be as stupid as Mr. Donghua. If a tiger wants to hurt people, it should be prepared to be killed. The only female cultivator present, Yuan Fengxue, had no sympathy for the people from the celestial immortal territory. If it wasn't for Ji Feng and the others, they wouldn't have encountered such a disaster as soon as they landed. If it wasn't for Night Sorrow's joint attack formation and the half-step supreme divine artifact, they would have been killed by the blood corpse in the blood sea. They would have sunk to the bottom of the blood sea forever. You will pay the price. Night Sorrow's body has the mark of my father. The other team from the celestial immortal territory will meet you and kill you. After Ji Feng's mouth recovered a little, he cursed at Night Sorrow and the others and prepared to self-destruct. He wanted to let Ji Ling and the others escape. However, just as Ji Feng was about to self-destruct, Night Sorrow used his golden heavenly halberd and directly pierced his deity Ocean. Thousand Sword Sect pierced his Dantian. Killing a powerful dominator like Ji Feng would give them a large amount of laws and essences. They didn't want to waste them by letting him self-destruct. Cousin Feng. Seeing that Ji Feng was killed, Ji Ling cried even more miserably. This is the price you have to pay for targeting the celestial realm. Don't think that the celestial realm is easy to bully. Seeing that Ji Ling was crying, the only female cultivator from the celestial realm, Yuan Fengxue, said coldly, "Cultivators of the celestial realm, you will pay the price in blood." In an instant, before anyone could react, Ji Ling pounced towards Yuan Fengxue and chose to self-destruct at the same time. Not good. Fengxue, be careful. Since Ji Ling chose to self-destruct in front of Yuan Fengxue, Thousand Sword Sect immediately transformed into a giant sword to block it. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who was attacking the other cultivators from the celestial immortal territory, used a sealing array. Using the divine origin trapping array and the merit trapping array, he temporarily sealed the explosion caused by Ji Ling. It was this little bit of time that allowed Yuan Fengxue and Xiao Tianxian to take out their defensive magic tools. Together with Thousand Sword Sect, they directly blocked Ji Ling's self-destruction. The whole process was smooth and only Thousand Sword Sect suffered a small injury. The degree of tacit cooperation made some of the cultivators from the celestial immortal territory who had yet to escape exclaim in admiration. Chapter 29-23. Let's run. They're too scary. We can't fight against them at all. After Ji Feng was killed and Ji Ling chose to self-destruct, the people from Celestial Immortal's territory finally dared to think of escaping. They were all nurtured by the Ji family and had a blood oath. If they disobeyed the orders of the Ji family's disciples, they would immediately be punished by the heavens. Trying to escape? Is that even possible? A male cultivator from Celestial Immortal's territory had just taken out his identity plate from his spatial artifact when Jin Xian, who was very close to him, used his feather sword to cut off his arm. Activate the illusion array. Everyone, seize the opportunity. This illusion array can only trap them for a few breaths of time. Just as the male cultivator from Celestial Immortal's territory was screaming, Night Sorrow suddenly shouted. This was the illusion array that he had set up. However, due to the limited materials, he could only set it up for a few breaths of time. Now that the people from Celestial Immortals' territory had taken out their identity plates and were trying to escape from the ancient battlefield, he also activated the illusion array under such circumstances. A few breaths of time is enough. The people from Myriad Sword Sect who originally thought that they could no longer stop the people from Celestial Immortals' territory heard Night Sorrow's words and used their strongest techniques to target their targets. Under the tacit cooperation, no one from Celestial Immortals' territory managed to escape. After killing them, Night Sorrow and the others obtained a large amount of Sovereign's Law and Essence, as well as a considerable amount of resources and 2 battleships. Everyone recuperate in the array. Once you've completely recovered, we'll discuss the distribution of the spoils. After the battle, Night Sorrow immediately spoke, allowing everyone to recover their strength. After everyone had recovered, Night Sorrow continued, "Do you all think it's better for us to leave in one battleship or split into 3 groups and drive 3 battleships to other celestial bodies? From the looks of it, every celestial body in the sky is a territory. If we want to enter the top 1,200, we have to eliminate some of the territories as soon as possible. Otherwise, we'll definitely be eliminated since we're at a disadvantage in terms of numbers. It's better for everyone to take 1 battleship." Xiao Tianxian thought for a moment and looked at Night Sorrow. For now, it's safer for everyone to take 1 battleship. Moreover, we've obtained so many resources, there will definitely be people who want to cultivate. Everyone on 1 battleship, we can take care of each other. Yes. If there are only 3 people on a warship, it will be difficult to take care of each other. Yuan Fengshui nodded. The others had similar thoughts. After they finished speaking, Night Sorrow said, "Since it's like this, Xue Chang Tian and Jin Xian will each control a battleship. The 2 of you have already lost a half-step Supreme Divine Artifact. Who knows, you might be able to use the battleship to save your lives at a critical moment." How can we use a warship to save our lives? Jin Xian said with a smile when he saw that Night Sorrow wanted him to take care of a battleship. The speed of the battleship should be above that of most cultivators. If you encounter someone you can't beat, immediately enter the battleship and escape. Night Sorrow said to Jin Xian. After that, Xue Chang Tian and Jin Xian both kept their battleships. Everyone began to study how to use the laws and essences. Although Night Sorrow wanted to share it with everyone so that everyone could improve, no one, including the Master of 10,000 Swords, wanted it. With no other choice, Night Sorrow could only distribute the other spoils of war from the Heavenly Immortal territory to them. And in BS, Brother Yi, which star do you think we should go to first? After distributing all the resources brought by the Heavenly Immortal territory cultivators, the Master of 10,000 Swords looked at Night Sorrow and asked. As for the others, they cast their gazes onto the 2 of them. Looking at Night Sorrow in the void, he thought for a moment and said, "Let's go to the Heavenly Immortal territories star first and see if their other team is there. If they don't find anything, then we'll think about other things." Good. That's great. Let's destroy the arrogant Heavenly Immortal territory in one go to prevent future trouble. Murong Zizhen said with a smile. After experiencing a crushing battle, everyone was no longer so nervous. Don't be careless. From what Ji Feng said, the remaining people of the Heavenly Immortal territory should be stronger than us. Against more than 20 sovereigns, if we want to win, we'll have to pay an unimaginable price. And among the participating territories, there are some that are even stronger than the Heavenly Immortal territory. If they're not scattered, there might be 50 to 60 sovereigns. If we encounter them, it'll be hard to fight them. Everyone in the Heavenly Realm territory was more relaxed. Night Sorrow was the first to sound the alarm for them. If the Heavenly Realm territory could see the light of hope, but their combat strength had not completely risen, they would not be able to look down on the heroes. What Yi Shang said makes sense. Caution is the parent of safety. We have to treat every territory seriously. Xiao Tianxian said and piloted the God Rising. Under everyone's persuasion, Night Sorrow began to absorb the Sovereign's Law and Essence that he had just obtained. After advancing to the Upper Divine King, Night Sorrow's speed of absorbing law and essence had increased by almost 100 times. However, the Blood Star and the Heavenly Immortal Territories Primal Wood Star were quite close to each other. No matter how fast Night Sorrow absorbed the law and essence, it was impossible for him to absorb all the law and essence in such a short time. After some investigation, everyone in the Heavenly Realm territory discovered that there were no cultivators on the Primal Wood Star at all, only countless trees. At this time, Night Sorrow was still immersed in cultivation. Myriad Sword Sect and Shao Tianxian had a discussion and decided not to wake him up unless there was danger. After that, the Heavenly Realm territory, under the leadership of Myriad Sword Sect and Shao Tianxian, piloted the God Rising and went to other planets to look for people from other territories. However, the 3 celestial bodies closest to him were all in ruins. Obviously, they had been through a battle. It's very likely that this was done by another team from the Heavenly Immortal Territory. Although they did not leave behind a corpse, there are remnants of their Heavenly Immortal Territory's aura in the void. They've been through continuous battles, so there must be casualties. Why don't we track them down? Instead of being targeted, we might as well take the initiative to attack. After checking the traces of battle on the 3 planets, Shao Tianxian mentioned that the Heavenly Immortal Territory had planted a mark on Night Sorrow. He was an imprint planted by a supreme being, and only the person who planted the imprint or someone who was above the supreme being realm could dispel it. If they did not find the other group from the Heavenly Immortal Territory, they might suddenly appear at a critical moment in the Heavenly Realm Territory's battle and give everyone a fatal blow. That makes sense. I agree to pursue them. However, Brother Yi is immersed in cultivation. Without him, we shouldn't be a match for the other group from the Heavenly Immortal Territory. Myriad Sword Sect said with a frown. Now, Night Sorrow was the backbone of the Heavenly Realm Territory. As long as he was there would be no problem in pursuing anyone. However, the problem now was that he was cultivating, and it was not good to disturb him. Chapter 29-24. It's fine. At most, we won't fight for the time being. The other team in the Celestial Realm is obviously fighting nonstop. As the saying goes, one never wakes up early without benefits. There must be some secret behind this. A secret that we don't know. Shao Tianxian said and continued, before Night Sorrow wakes up from his cultivation, we'd better find out everything. He had always suspected that other than obtaining some Dominator's law and essence, there were other rewards for plundering other planets. However, it had been a long time since the people from the Celestial Realm entered the second round. They did not know about these things. Sigh. We can only blame ourselves for not being able to enter the second round for so long. Master Wan Zhen sighed and said, "You're right. We need to find out what's going on. All right. Let's continue to track the other team from the Celestial Realm. I think after this planet, they must have gone to the nearest planet, Aquamarine." Shao Tianxian looked up and locked his eyes on the nearest planet. The second round had not started for long. He judged that the other team from the Celestial Realm could not have gone too far. Boom! Just as Shao Tianxian finished speaking, a loud rumbling sound came from Aquamarine. Although it was far away, the people from the Celestial Realm heard it clearly. Let's go. Let's go take a look. If something is wrong, we'll escape with the rising. After the sound was heard from Cerulean, Master 10,000 Swords immediately looked at Shao Tianxian and instructed him to steer the warship forward. There's obviously a big formation ahead. Everyone be careful. Shao Tianxian said and steered the rising towards Aquamarine. The rising was very fast, but it took them half a month to reach Aquamarine. When the people from the Celestial Realm arrived at Aquamarine, they found that it was similar to the other planets. Mountains and rivers were broken. Clearly, the intense battle had caused the ground to shatter. The originally spherical celestial body had even turned into a hemispherical shape. Looks like we're one step too late. They've already left. Let's move on to the next planet. The people from the Celestial Immortals territory should have immediately headed for the next planet after the battle and didn't stop at all. Shao Tianxian and the others from the 10,000 Swords sect discussed for a moment and decided to pursue the next celestial body. Save me. However, at this moment, a vague voice sounded in their ears at the same time. Who are you? Where are you? Hearing this faint and weak cry for help, the Myriad Swords sect immediately shouted, I'm Blue Heart, the last survivor of planet Aquamarine. Your auras are different from the Celestial Immortals' territory. You shouldn't be with them, right? The weak voice sounded again. How about it, old Shao? Do you want to save them? Hearing this voice, Master Wan Jian turned to Shao Tianxian. When Night Sorrow wasn't around, the two of them were in charge of the Celestial Realm. We should save her, because we can get some information about the Celestial Immortals' territory from her. Shao Tianxian nodded, then shook his head. But we can't guarantee that this isn't a trap. What if he entered the sea and ended up like the bloody celestial body? What should we do? Your worries aren't unfounded. Master Wan Jian nodded in agreement. But we have to take this risk. If he's not a liar, we can get a lot of useful information from him. I'll go. If the situation changes, I'll send a message to everyone. At present, in the Celestial Realm, Night Sorrow's combat strength was ranked first, and Master Wan Jian was ranked first. Shao Tianxian was ranked third. He felt that it was not safe to let anyone else go, so he volunteered to dive into the sea. Brother Shao, you must be careful. Seeing Shao Tianxian diving into the blue sea, Jin Xian and the others quickly reminded him. In such a risky thing, the slightest carelessness could cost one's life. After Shao Tianxian dived into the sea, everyone in the Celestial Realm looked at the surface of the sea worriedly. Although they didn't have Night Sorrow's sea serpent eye and couldn't see anything at all, they had been paying attention. While Shao Tianxian dived into the sea, Night Sorrow was still immersed in absorbing the laws and essence. After advancing to the Upper Divine King, his absorption speed had increased by thousands of times. Although he had obtained a lot of essence this time, it had taken him less than a year to absorb it. The laws and essence of Jifeng and the others were completely different from the Invincible Sovereign's laws and essence he had absorbed before. The speed of absorption was completely beyond his expectations. After absorbing all of it, Night Sorrow felt that his cultivation was steadily increasing, but the extent of the improvement was limited. He had not reached the half-step sovereign level. It seems that I still need to continue absorbing a lot of laws and essence. This thing is similar to virtuous energy. I can directly absorb it to increase my cultivation. After waking up from his cultivation, Night Sorrow's eyes became sharper. He didn't immediately leave the cultivation room. Instead, he continued to strengthen the Sea Serpent Eye. In the process of strengthening the Sea Serpent Eye, Night Sorrow recalled the battle with the blood corpses. They had killed many blood corpses, but they hadn't obtained any virtuous energy. This gave him some hope. After all, Night Sorrow had always used virtuous energy to attain his Tao. Quick, save her. Just as Night Sorrow was strengthening the Sea Serpent Eye, he suddenly heard Shao Tianxuan's shout. After Shao Tianxian dived into the sea, he quickly found a blue-haired woman. She was indeed seriously injured and looked like she was on the verge of death. She didn't even have the ability to take out pills from her spatial artifact. These pills are all supreme-grade healing pills. I'll feed you. They're not poisonous. Then, the only female cultivator in the divine world, Yuan Fengxue, carried the blue-haired woman into the room and fed her 4 pills. After about a day, the blue-haired woman gradually recovered a bit of strength. She thanked them. May I know which territory you're from? Blue Heart will never forget your life-saving grace. We're from the Heaven Immortal territory. Can you tell us what happened? Yuan Fengxue asked Blue Heart according to their discussion. As soon as Yuan Fengxue finished asking, Blue Heart started crying. She choked with sobs. Our Azure territory was attacked by the Heaven Immortal territory. Everyone else has died in battle. Only I used my clone to fake my death and escaped. It's really the Heaven Immortal territory. Yuan Fengxue pondered for a moment and continued asking, how many people are left in the Heaven Immortal territory? There are about 20 of them, but they must have plundered several stars. That's why they're so strong. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been defeated so easily. Blue Heart cried. Genius remembered the address of this site in 1 second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 29-25. You're terrifyingly strong because you've plundered a few planets? What do you mean? Xiao Tianxian asked doubtfully when he heard Blue Heart's words. The others also paid attention. There was obviously more to her words. Don't you know that conquering other planets can give you strength rewards? Seeing Xiao Tianxuan's confusion, Blue Heart asked in surprise. Xiao Tianxian smiled awkwardly and said, "To be honest, we don't have any experience in the second round. We don't know the rules. If possible, please guide us." All right. You're from the heavenly realm and have encountered some things. No wonder you don't know the rules. No one dares to tell you. Blue Heart thought of the fact that they were from the heavenly realm and immediately understood. The heavenly realm territories were trampled on by the top 10 territories. Indeed, no territory dared to be on good terms with them. So, Miss Blue Heart, please tell us the specific rules. Xiao Tianxian said humbly. You're my saviors. I'll tell you everything I know. But you have to promise that you won't tell anyone about this. Blue Heart looked at Xiao Tianxian and the others and said helplessly, Blue Heart doesn't want Azure territory to be involved with the heavenly realm. This is understandable. Tell us everything you know. Yuan Fengxue sat on Blue Heart's bed and helped her tidy up her appearance. Then, Blue Heart began to slowly tell them everything she knew. It turned out that in the second round and the final round, defeating other territories would give them strength rewards. It was the same for getting a good ranking. Even the top 100 in the second round of the battle for Providence would be rewarded with the same level of rules and essences as the invincible sovereigns. However, according to the ranking, the amount would be different. As for the other rules, Xiao Tianxian and the others knew. So there's so much to say. How strong are the people from the celestial realm? Master Wan Jian frowned and asked. If the celestial realm's strength continued to increase, it would be difficult for them to defeat them. They should have plundered 4 to 5 territories and their strength increased by 40 to 50%. You should all be aware of just how much of an increase in strength is for a sovereign. Fortunately, this kind of increase in strength can only reach 100% at most. Otherwise, the gap in strength between them and the others will only grow bigger and bigger. Blue Heart sighed. The people of the Azure territory originally wanted to observe for a while, but they didn't expect to be attacked by the Sky Immortal territory. Moreover, the people from the Celestial Immortal territory had increased their strength by 40 to 50% in such a short period of time. They were simply not a match for them and were easily defeated. Moreover, the Celestial Immortal territory had only lost a ruler. An increase of 100%? Isn't that doubling one's strength? That's terrifying enough. The Master of Myriad Swords lamented. Originally, they were still capable of intercepting the people from the Celestial Immortals' territory. But now, it seemed like they had to avoid the brunt of their attacks. The people in the Celestial Immortals' territory had made ample preparations. Their strength had increased too quickly. For the time being, there should be no opponents in the vicinity. What should we do now? Are you still tracking the people from the Celestial Immortals' territory? Yuan Fengxue looked at the Myriad Sword sect, then at Xiao Tianxian. She waited for their answers. From the looks of it, it's impossible for us to defeat them directly. Let's think about the plan to track them down. The Myriad Sword sect said helplessly. From the looks of it, the gap in strength between the two sides should have widened. What they needed to do was to fight as well and increase their strength. We can go in the opposite direction from the Celestial Immortal territory and look for other territories. If we find something we can fight against, we'll immediately attack. This is a fight for luck. There's no need to be soft-hearted. Xiao Tianxian thought for a moment and said. Then, everyone gathered their thoughts and set off again. Blue Heart no longer had anyone to rely on, and she didn't want to crush her identity plate immediately. Therefore, she chose to travel with them and act as their guide. 3 days after Xiao Tianxian started the warship, Blue Heart climbed up from her bed and walked to his side. She took out a blurry map and said, "This is the star map that our territory has drawn after participating in the second round of the competition for a long time. Our current position is in the north. It's not a place with many stars. If we continue to fly north, I'm afraid we'll only encounter 4 or 5 stars. If we go west, it'll be different from the celestial immortal territory in the south. There'll be a large number of stars." "Oh, is that so?" Xiao Tianxian took the star map from Blue Heart and looked at it. He immediately had a sense of direction. Just as Blue Heart said, if they kept flying north, they would encounter 5 territories at most. After that, they would enter the vast void. If they wandered in the void for too long, they would be eliminated directly. "I really have to thank Miss Blue Heart." Xiao Tianxian cupped his fists at her and then turned the rising god towards a star in the west. When they got close to the earthy yellow star, they immediately felt the fluctuations of battle on the surface of the star. Because the people fighting were all at the level of sovereigns, their power was soaring into the sky. "This is a good opportunity. We can be the mantis stalking the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind," Xiao Tianxian said solemnly as he watched the fierce battle below. At this time, Yuan Fengxue said, "Can we observe first? Let's see if the 2 territories fighting have any grudges with our celestial realm territory. If they don't, we'd better not take advantage of them. And we'll do as you say. However, does our celestial realm territory have a friend in the eternal supreme world?" Thousand Sword Master said unhappily. He felt that Yuan Fengxue was a little pretentious. At this time, Blue Heart, who had been observing for a while, said, "The battles below should be the Cliff Territory and the Nether Soul Territory. The Cliff Territory and the Nether Soul Territory have both targeted our celestial realm territory in the sovereign space. Everyone don't show mercy," Thousand Sword Master said after hearing Blue Heart's words. He looked at her and asked, "How did you know that the other 2 territories are the Cliff Territory and the Nether Soul Territory from so far away?" "It's very simple. I can tell from the aura of their moves. Our Azure Territory has advanced to the second round dozens of times. Many territories have become old rivals." After Blue Heart finished speaking, she sighed and said, "Sigh. Every time, even if our Azure Territory can't advance to the final round, we can fight until the end. This time, it's really depressing." Thinking about how she was the only one left in the Azure Territory, Blue Heart's eyes turned red. Chapter 29-26. Are you sure? Thousand Sword Master immediately asked after Blue Heart spoke. He felt that this Blue Heart gave off a mysterious feeling, as if she knew everything. "I'm sure. Azure Territory and the 2 territories below have fought before, so we know what their ultimate moves are. You can't go wrong if you attack now." He looked down at Blue Heart and said confidently, "All right, we'll trust you this time." Thousand Sword Master said, then looked at Xiao Tianxian and the others and said, "Shall we go down now?" "All right, everyone attack together. But I'll have to trouble Miss Blue Heart to temporarily enter my space grotto heaven." After Xiao Tianxian finished speaking, he looked at Blue Heart. Every territory had their own secrets, and he did not want Blue Heart to see how the people of the heavenly realm fought. "All right, no problem." Blue Heart did not hesitate and entered Xiao Tianxuan's space grotto heaven. Then Xiao Tianxian drove the rising god closer to the star. When they were close to the star, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to Xiao Tianxian. "This is the first time we're going to attack, so we have to make sure nothing goes wrong. I'll attack later. The 9 of us will cooperate well. As for the half-step Supreme Divine Artifact, don't use it for now." At this time, he had finished strengthening the Clam Dragon's eye. What he saw was similar to what Blue Heart had predicted, so he did not stop Xiao Tianxian. "All right, with you fighting, nothing will go wrong." Xiao Tianxian laughed when he heard Night Sorrow's voice. At this time, Night Sorrow continued, "The cultivators below are fighting very fiercely. We can take the fruits of their labor, but try to keep them alive and let them crush their nameplates to leave." The 2 territories below each had around 15 ruler realm cultivators. However, at this point, Both sides only had 8 people left, and one side only had 4. Moreover, these 8 people had expended a lot of energy, so they should not be able to resist much. Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to Shao Tianxian. Alright, we, the heavenly realm, still have this bit of loyalty. We'll do as you say. Shao Tianxian replied Night Sorrow, then transmitted his voice to the others, telling them about Night Sorrow's instructions. Thousand Sword Master and the others were very happy when they heard that Night Sorrow had come out of his cultivation state. The heavenly realm's morale suddenly increased a lot. However, when the people from the God world arrived near the battlefield, they discovered that the people from the Stony Peak realm and the Nether Spirit realm were actually from the God world. Disdain was written all over their faces, and decided to cooperate temporarily to defeat the heavenly realm. You've already exhausted yourselves to this extent, yet you're still so arrogant? We gave you the chance to crush your nameplates, which is already the best we can do. Don't not appreciating it. This heavenly realms, the heavenly realms, heavenly you heavenly God realm, heavenly, night heavens. It's simply a fantasy. The leader of the Cliff Peak territory, Yan Lung, looked at Shao Tianxian and the others with disdain. At this moment, the other members of the Cliff Peak territory and the Nether Soul territory began to take medicinal pills to restore their vitality. I get it now. You intentionally scolded my firmament territory to buy time so that you can recover your strength. Alright, I'll give you some time so that you won't feel unreconciled after your defeat. Shao Tianxian had been on the battlefield for many years. How could he not know what the other party was thinking? However, under Night Sorrow's instructions, he gave the enemy time to recover. Originally, the 10,000 Swords sect didn't think it was necessary, but since it was Night Sorrow who said it, he didn't refute. Your deity world only has 2 higher hegemons. But there are 6 of us. What will you use to fight? The Nether Lord, the leader of the Nether Soul territory, said disdainfully. Then he looked at Night Sorrow and said, if a sovereign isn't enough, the Divine King will fill the gap. Your divine realm is indeed the first one since ancient times. You'll find out soon enough whether it's just to make up the numbers or not. Hurry up and recover. Night Sorrow looked at the leader of the Nether Soul territory, Nether Lord, and said expressionlessly. Although the other party was a higher hegemon, he couldn't bring much pressure to him. According to Night Sorrow's observation with the Sea Serpent's Eye, the strength of the 2 leaders should be below that of the 10,000 Swords sect in a one-on-one fight. Divine King Realm Ant, I'll suck out your divine soul and seal it in a sapphire. I'll let others know what a divine king participating in the battle for Providence looks like. You'd better not crush your identity plate. The leader of the Nether Soul territory, Nether Lord, looked at Night Sorrow with a malicious smile. Then let's wait and see. Night Sorrow sneered. Although he hadn't reached the peak of the Divine King, he wasn't far off. His true combat strength was definitely much stronger than that of the 10,000 Sword sect. How could he be afraid of the Nether Lord in front of him? Wait until I get rid of the strongest person in your divine realm, then I'll kill you, Ant. After the people of the Cliff Peak territory and the Nether Soul territory recovered, Nether Lord and the others completely ignored Night Sorrow and prepared to fight the 8 people of the divine realm one-on-one before getting rid of him. Nether Lord, who didn't call himself this lord in front of the hegemons, also put on the airs of a hegemon. Attack. Seeing Nether Lord constantly ridiculing Night Sorrow, the 10,000 Swords sect and Shao Tianxian were already unhappy. Seeing that they had completely recovered, they immediately attacked. To avoid unnecessary casualties, we'll directly use the joint attack formation. Although he had the advantage in terms of individual strength, Night Sorrow didn't act carelessly. His principle was to win every battle without any casualties. From the 9 domains world, this was his principle. Joint attack formation? Your divine realm territory knows that you're too weak, so you came up with this so-called battle formation? Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the leader of the Cliff Peak territory, Yan Lung, said disdainfully. He ordered, kill. Don't give them the chance to crush their nameplates. Originally, We wanted to leave you with a chance to live. Now, it seems that there's no need for that. Hearing Yenleng's words and seeing Netherlord's killing intent, Night Sorrow and the others instantly felt that there was no need to let them go. If they could kill them, they could just kill them directly. Shameless boasting. You'll soon understand that the Divine Realm territory no longer has the power it had in the past. Only destruction awaits you. After this battle for providence, you'll follow in the footsteps of the other territories that have exhausted their providence and be completely enslaved. Yenleng roared with killing intent. Using the stone lock in his hand, he smashed it towards the 10,000 Swords sect with the highest cultivation in the Divine Realm territory. Ming Jun, on the other hand, attacked Xiao Tianxian. Chapter 29-27. What happens to our territory in the Divine Realm is not something that you ignorant fools should worry about. Seeing Yan Shan from the Cliff Peak territory attacking him, Myriad Sword Master laughed disdainfully. Soon you will know how ignorant you are. As they spoke, Master Myriad Sword, Night Sorrow, and Xiao Tianxian executed a joint attack and attacked the leaders of the Stony Peak territory and the Nether Spirit territory, Stone Mountain and Nether Monarch, forming a small area of 3 big and 2. The people of the God Realm territory did not use a joint attack technique immediately. Because Night Sorrow, Myriad Sword Master, and Xiao Tianxian used a joint attack technique, they were confident that they could defeat Yan Shan and Ming Jun in a short time. The 2 of them were already weaker than Yi Shang and the others, not to mention the 3 of them working together. As for the combination of Murong Jinlu, Xuechang Tian, and Yuan Fengxue, as well as Nie Zhonglin, Yang Qing, and Jin Xian, although they were at a disadvantage in terms of strength, they were able to resist for the time being. They would not be defeated immediately. Immortal Sword Technique. Heavenly Profound Finger. Reincarnation Spear. Night Sorrow and the others, after blocking the first round of attacks from Yan Shan and Ming Jun, they cooperated and launched a counterattack. The 3 of them cooperated well and used their ultimate skills at the same time, attacking Yan Shan and Ming Jun from 3 different directions. Yan Shan and Ming Jun were actually very proud. However, when the 3 of them used their ultimate skills, they were completely dumbfounded. They secretly said, "How can these 3 people from the God Realm territory be so strong? This is impossible, this is impossible." In the last battle for providence, they were still at the bottom. The 2 of them realized that no matter how they looked at the 3 ultimate skills used by Night Sorrow and the others, they could not break it. Yan Shan and Ming Jun, at the same time, ignited their bloodline power. They wanted to make a final struggle. However, Night Sorrow did not even use the 33 Heavens battle technique. Myriad Sword Master and Xiao Tianxian did not use their secret techniques either. Stone Mountain and Underworld Monarch desperately tried to block the attacks of the 3. But after Night Sorrow activated the 33 Heavens secret combat technique, they were completely unable to resist. They immediately called for help from others. Now that things had developed to this point, they still had no intention of crushing their identity plates. Clearly, they still looked down on the celestial realm from the bottom of their hearts and felt that they would not be eliminated by them. However, they soon saw the reality. At this time, the other cultivators of the 2 territories were only in a stalemate with the people of the celestial realm. They didn't have the ability to support them at all. You too, trash, do you know how weak you are now? Do you think you're qualified to look down on Night Sorrow and my God Realm? After completely suppressing Stone Mountain and Ming Jun, Master Wan Jian said disdainfully. He had once looked down on Night Sorrow, but he was soon slapped in the face. Now, he was very glad that he was born in the celestial realm and was not a match for the celestial realm. There's no need to talk nonsense with them. Just kill them. Xiao Tianxian said coldly and then launched a fatal blow at Stone Mountain. You will regret this. Just wait and see. My Stone Mountain territory will not let your celestial realm territory go. Seeing that he was powerless to resist Xiao Tianxuan's attack, Stone Mountain immediately took out his identity plate from his space grotto heaven and was about to crush it. Do you think you have the chance to escape? Master Wan Jian laughed disdainfully when he saw Stone Mountain take out his identity plate. He activated a jade talisman in his hand. The moment the jade talisman was activated, Stone Mountain was stunned for about a breath's time. It was in this breath's time that Night Sorrow snatched the identity plate from his hand. Ji Ling's jade talisman is really useful. Master Wan Jian smiled when he saw that Night Sorrow had succeeded in snatching the identity plate from Stone Mountain's hand. This jade talisman was the only thing that was not destroyed after Ji Ling's self-destruction. After studying it for a long time, he finally discovered the use of this jade talisman. It could temporarily paralyze a cultivator. However, especially strong rulers could only be paralyzed for a very short period of time. For example, Night Sorrow could also be paralyzed for less than half a breath's time. If it was used on the top geniuses of the top 10 territories, it would probably not have much effect. But for Stone Mountain, this jade talisman was too terrifying. This should not be. After his identity plate was taken away, Stone Mountain was completely flustered. At the same time, Mingjun was also flustered. While everyone was focused on Stone Mountain, he took out his own identity plate and prepared to crush it. At this point, he no longer had any hope of winning. He did not care about the lives of the others. He only wanted to leave the ancient battlefield and not die here. He can't escape, but you think you can? You have repeatedly insulted my celestial realm territory. You will be the stepping stone for my celestial realm territory's rise. Master Wan Jian, who had been guarding against Mingjun, also activated his jade talisman after he took out his identity plate. Xiao Tianxian, who was already prepared, directly snatched the identity token from his hand. My nameplate. When Mingjun recovered from his shock, he was completely dumbfounded. Before this, he had never thought that the celestial realm territory could be so strong and have so many tricks up their sleeves. After his nameplate was taken away, he thought for a moment and immediately shouted, "Cultivators of the Nether Soul territory, stop. Stop resisting." What's going on? Leader, what do you mean? The cultivators of the Nether Soul territory who were in the midst of the fierce battle did not notice what was going on with Mingjun. What I mean is, help our friends of the Celestial Realm territory kill everyone in the Stony Peak territory. We will submit to the Celestial Realm territory. Mingjun made a prompt decision. In his opinion, if he did not choose to submit now, what awaited him would be complete destruction. Brother Yi, how should we deal with this? Master Wan Jian did not expect Mingjun to be so spineless. He immediately chose to submit after his nameplate was taken away. If they can swear an oath, it's good to have more fighters. After all, we have too few people. Night Sorrow was also surprised. After thinking about it, he felt that it would be good to take in some people from other territories. At the very least, it would increase their combat strength and increase their chances of winning against powerful opponents like the Celestial Realm. Good. Then we will kill everyone in the Stony Peak territory. Then we will make these people of the Nether Soul territory swear an oath. Master Wan Jian responded and prepared to attack the people of the Stony Peak territory. However, at this time, Stony Mountain directly knelt on the ground and shouted, "The Stony Peak territory chooses to submit. We are willing to completely obey the orders of the Celestial Realm territory in the second round of the battle for Providence. Please be merciful." You are really spineless. Seeing that the people of the Nether Soul territory and the Stony Peak territory were so spineless, Xiao Tianxian said disdainfully. Chapter 29-28. The people who originally looked down on the God Realm immediately did as instructed by Stone Mountain and Netherlord. They swore to serve the people of the God Realm in the War of Providence, not after leaving the War of Providence. Netherlord and Stone Mountain, the leaders of the Nether Soul territory and Stone Mountain territory, didn't have any objections. In fact, they had long been used to submitting. They didn't think it was a big deal. They didn't have any pride at all. After completely subduing the people of the Nether Soul territory and Stone Mountain territory, the people of the God Realm immediately received a 20% increase in strength. It feels good to have a 20% increase in strength. Where do we go next? After Master Wan Jian's strength had increased, he looked at Yishang and asked. The people of the Nether Soul Territory and Stone Mountain Territory immediately understood that Night Sorrow was obviously the backbone of the God Realm. They immediately understood how wrong they were. Before Night Sorrow could answer Master Myriad Sword's question, Stone Mountain and Nether Lord apologized one after another, saying that they were snobs and so on. We were opponents at that time, so it's understandable that you said that. Just do your best in the following battles. Night Sorrow didn't have a good impression of the people of the Nether Soul Territory and Stone Mountain Territory, but now that the God Realm was indeed short of manpower, he chose to accept them. After talking to Stone Mountain and Nether Lord, Night Sorrow looked at Xiao Tianxian and said, "Let Blue Heart out and let her lead the way." He felt that Blue Heart was very knowledgeable and would be a good guide. Okay. Xiao Tianxian responded and let Blue Heart out of the space. The battle is over so quickly? What happened just now? Blue Heart, who was released, saw the people of the Nether Soul Territory and Stone Mountain Territory drooping their heads, immediately understood that the God Realm had won. She looked at the cultivation of the people of the God Realm, then looked at the cultivation of the people of the Nether Soul Territory and Stone Mountain Territory and became curious. She couldn't figure out how the God Realm had won so easily. She immediately became very curious about Night Sorrow, Xiao Tianxian, and the others. It's mainly because they ran out of true qi, and we took advantage of them. Miss Blueheart, what planet should we head to next? Xiao Tianxian smiled unnaturally and continued to ask. Let me ask you something first. Have all of the people from the Nether Spirits domain and the Stone Peak domain submitted to you? Blue Heart asked doubtfully. She felt that if the Nether Spirit Territory and the Cliff Peak Territory were truly loyal, the strength of the God World's territories would increase greatly. In terms of combat power, they should be able to rank in the top 1,000 of the 4,000 teams. Yes. We will do our best to fight for the Divine Realm. After Blue Heart opened her mouth, Cliff Mountain spoke first. He had no sense of shame in choosing to submit. Xiao Tianxian nodded and said, "That's right. Now that we have the help of the Nether Soul Territory and the Cliff Peak Territory, we can basically choose the astral bodies as we wish." Blue Heart took out a star map and studied it for a moment before saying, "Let's do it according to the usual practice. East, South, West, North, and Central, there will be teams with high rankings in each of the 5 directions. As long as we avoid the teams with the highest rankings, we won't be in any danger." Although everyone was strong now, they were still not a match for some territories. The strongest territories probably have 50 to 60 sovereigns. At this moment, Night Sorrow turned to look at Blue Heart and the people from the Nether Spirits Territory and the Stone Peak Territory, and said, "Let's work together. If enough territories are eliminated, even though there aren't many people left in your territories, you'll still be able to show up. As long as you advance to the finals of the Battle of Providence, you should have fulfilled your mission." Originally, my Azure territory only had 1 person left, and we didn't have any confidence to continue fighting. But after meeting you people from the Divine Realm, Blue Heart saw hope again. You are not only strong but also kind. You are completely different from the people from the Celestial Immortal Territory. Speaking of the people from the Celestial Immortal Territory, Blue Heart's expression was not too good. As for the people from the Nether Soul Territory and the Cliff Peak Territory, when they heard Night Sorrow's words, they immediately had a trace of anticipation in their hearts. In the previous contact, they had already understood that Night Sorrow was the divine king of merit and virtue. He was the kind of person who would do what he said. As long as he spoke, he would not go back on his words. Blue Heart, with our current strength, how far do you think we are from the Celestial Immortal Territory? Thousand Sword Sect asked curiously. Blue Heart had met the people from the Celestial Immortal Territory and had a very direct understanding of their strength. I'm not too sure about your strength, but based on your cultivation, you should not be a match for the Celestial Immortal Territory. The Celestial Immortal Territory's team has at least 10 upper-level sovereigns and the leader is Yuan Tsungtian, who is very strong. his understanding of sword skills is not something that ordinary sovereigns can fight against. When Blue Heart spoke of Yuan Zhengqian, she still had a lingering fear. Yuan Zhengqian's sword skills were the strongest among all the sovereigns she had seen. Alright, I'm clear. Find a route and we will set off immediately. Night Sorrow said to Blue Heart and let everyone continue to set off towards the next star. Currently, the overall strength of the Divine Realm territories was still not strong enough. They needed to strengthen themselves and fight for a better ranking. At this moment, Thousand Sword Sect suddenly asked curiously, "Are you guys sure that making the other territories submit is considered the final result?" Recently, Thousand Sword Sect had been thinking about a problem. There were only 9 cultivators in the Divine Realm territories and it would be very difficult for them to enter the top 100 of the second round. This was because when there were 1,200 territories left, the second round would automatically end. If it was based on the number of people, the Divine Realm territories would be at a disadvantage. Hearing this, Blue Heart's expression was a little unnatural and she did not speak. She was clear about the specific rules, but she did not tell the people in the Divine Realm territories. Nether Soul territories Nether Lord said indifferently, "To tell you the truth, in the second round of the battle for Providence, the final result is based on the number of identity tokens one obtains." He was very surprised that the people in the Divine Realm territories did not even know about this. So that's how the results are calculated. In fact, this is the first time we are participating in the second round of the battle and we don't understand at all. Thousand Sword Sect smiled and was glad that he had asked this question. So the rules of the second round of the battle are so cruel. Hearing Netherlord's words, Night Sorrow sighed. He knew that if he wanted to get a good ranking in this round of the battle, he had to go on a killing spree. If he showed any mercy, his enemies would crush their identity tokens and leave. In this kind of battle, there is no need to be compassionate. No matter how cruel the rules are, we should fight for the Divine Realm and fight for the best ranking. After all, if we don't improve ourselves, we are destined to be destroyed. Chapter 29-29. As a merit godly monarch, Night Sorrow had used merit to prove his Tao. He could use the powerful power of merit. This would definitely make countless cultivators envious, but at the same time he had a burden in his heart. He could not be like other cultivators and start a massacre for no reason. Don't worry, Brother Shao, I know what I'm doing. For the territory of the Divine Realm, I can give up my merit. After all, our ultimate goal is to protect the territory of the Divine Realm. If the territory of the Divine Realm does not exist, what's the use of merit? After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow said firmly, "Giving up on the power of merit required a great deal of determination, but Night Sorrow did not hesitate too much. I think that as long as you make a great contribution to the Divine Realm, you can still obtain the power of merit. You just have to follow your heart." Xiao Tianxian knew what Night Sorrow's words meant and immediately comforted him. The others also understood that Night Sorrow was ready to completely let go and strive to obtain the best results for the territory of the Divine Realm. Thus, this is the right way to repay kindness and revenge. The so-called merit should not be wishy-washy. Myriad Sword Sect smiled and looked at Night Sorrow. At this time, Blue Heart reminded, "We will reach the nearest celestial body in 7 days. I suggest that everyone discuss the battle strategy. After all, a plate of loose sand does not have much combat power. This time, I want to fight with everyone. But I will teach everyone some simple battle formations." Night Sorrow looked at Blue Heart, then looked at the people of the Nether Spirit territory and Cliff Peak territory and gathered them on the board. He taught them some basic joint attack techniques. Blue Heart, Cliff Peak, and Netherlord were the leaders of their respective territories. Although they were not as strong as Night Sorrow, they still had a certain level of combat power. The 3 of them practiced for a few days and immediately mastered the basic joint attack techniques. After mastering the joint attack techniques, Netherlord said in admiration, "No wonder we lost. With the support of this joint attack technique, our overall strength can increase by 30%. This joint attack technique seems simple, but it is not simple at all. It can make up for the shortcomings by learning from each other. It is not something that ordinary people can study. After Blue Heart mastered the combination attack, Night Sorrow sighed in admiration. At the same time, he could roughly guess how the Divine Realm had easily defeated the Nether Soul territory and the Cliff Peak territory. We're about to reach the star up ahead. I wonder if there are any cultivators on the star? Should we head down or what? Blue Heart, who had begun to guide Xiao Tianxian after she finished practicing the joint attack technique, immediately asked when the warship arrived at a new planet. Ask Night Sorrow for his opinion. Xiao Tianxian glanced at Blue Heart and went to look for Night Sorrow. At this point, Blue Heart finally understood that the person in charge of the God Realm was definitely Night Sorrow. Let me observe for a while before making a decision. When the battleship stopped in the void outside the star, Night Sorrow immediately opened the Sea Serpent's eye to observe the situation below. After his Sea Serpent Dragon's eye was upgraded, the distance he could observe had increased by dozens of times. I can't see any cultivators below, nor can I see any traces of battle. However, I can see some traces of a formation. It's very likely that they're hiding in the formation. After observing for a while, Night Sorrow said. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the people of the Nether Soul territory, the Cliff Peak territory, and Blue Heart were all amazed. They felt that he was too magical. At such a close distance, he could actually observe the situation below. Then should we go down and drag them out for a battle? Myriad Sword Master asked doubtfully. Let's go. Drive the battleship down. We don't have much time. We have to seize every opportunity. Night Sorrow said firmly, his brows full of determination. He didn't want to affect the results of the God Realm because of his power of virtue. If the God Realm didn't get enough providence because of this, it would cause the God Realm to be destroyed. He would definitely regret it for the rest of his life. But that's much better. I'll be the vanguard. Once they were close enough, Master Wan Jian said something and rushed towards the location of the formation. Don't worry, I'll break the formation. The formation in front of them was completely different from the formations that the people of the God Realm were used to setting up. However, with the help of the Sea Serpent's eye, Night Sorrow could basically see the existence of the formation. After he stopped Myriad Sword Master, he immediately broke the formation. Very quickly, the formation that ordinary people couldn't see was completely broken. More than 20 cultivators who had been hiding among them were immediately exposed. This Night Sorrow is really a rare person. If he becomes a dominator, I wonder how strong he will be. If he isn't from the God Realm, he is destined to rise and his name will spread everywhere. Unfortunately, those powerful territories won't give him the chance to rise. Lan Exen thought to herself when she saw Yishang break through the array so easily. The top 20 territories had basically attacked the God Realm before. This was something that most of the cultivators in the Eternal Supreme World knew. Blue Heart felt that after this battle for Providence, Night Sorrow, who had shone brightly, would definitely be targeted by the top-ranked territories. This determined that his growth would be completely interrupted. Those territories wouldn't just stand by and watch as the God Realm nurtured another eternal paragon. Which territory are you people from? Do you really think that the people of the Xingyuan territory are hiding here because we don't have the strength to fight? Seeing Night Sorrow break the formation, the leader of the Xingyuan territory, Xinghe, said coldly. In fact, he was very confident in his own strength and the strength of the Xingyuan territory. However, before participating in the second round of the battle for Providence, the elders of the Xingyuan territory had instructed them to hide well and not take the initiative to attack. They said that this was a sign of the stars. This made Xinghe very unhappy. We are from the God Realm. We are just doing this for the results. Sorry. Xiao Dunxian looked at Xinghe and said, Do it. Be *starred. Aren't you a little too arrogant? Do you really think that the Xingyuan territory is a pushover? Xinghe roared in anger, Do it. Kill them all. Don't give them the chance to crush their identity nameplates. Star formation activate. After Xinghe gave the order, the people of the Xingyuan territory immediately activated a strange formation. Everyone in the Xingyuan territory had a starlight coming from the void. The dazzling starlight increased the strength of everyone in the Xingyuan territory by almost 30%. Then, these pillars of light gradually formed the shape of a universe and floated behind the people of the Xingyuan territory. It looked mysterious and powerful. Everyone, let's fight. If we can't do it, use the half-step supreme artifact. Seeing that the strength of the people of the Xingyuan territory had increased by a lot, Night Sorrow knew that this battle would not be easy. He immediately sent a voice transmission to everyone. Don't worry, we will do our best to protect ourselves. After Night Sorrow sent the voice transmission, the 8 people of the God Realm territory each looked at him, released their God Realms, and began to fight. Genius remembered the address of this site in a second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 2930. Destroy this motley crew. They are made up of people from 3 or 4 territories, so they definitely don't have much tacit understanding. We'll take them down. After Xing He, the leader of the Xingyuan territory, gave the order, he roared, "Great Starlight Technique." Just as he finished speaking, a thick beam of starlight shot down from the void and smashed towards Night Sorrow's position. Everyone, be careful. Although the starlight that descended from the void smashed towards Night Sorrow's position, the area it covered was very large. It was a threat to everyone. While Night Sorrow reminded everyone, he immediately used the reincarnation spear technique to resist it. Compared to the more powerful Yang sky-splitting technique, he was more used to using his reincarnation spear technique and felt that it was much more convenient. After the reincarnation spear technique was used, a golden light immediately rose in midair and blasted towards the starlight. For a moment, the eyes of everyone in the world were focused on these 2 beams of light. The leaders of both sides immediately started fighting. The others paused for a moment, wanting to see which side had the upper hand. Boom! Soon, the 2 beams of light in the void collided. After the 2 huge beams of light collided, a lot of energy immediately poured out to other places. However, this energy no longer had any offensive power. It was obvious that the techniques of both sides had cancelled each other out. In the end, the 2 ultimate techniques basically ended in a tie. Xing He's Great Starlight Technique looked incomparably brilliant and magnificent, but Night Sorrow's Reincarnation Spear Technique was not inferior to his in terms of power. The Divine King in the opposite camp is not simple. His strength is probably not inferior to mine. Be careful in battle. After using the Great Starlight Technique to test the waters, Xing He immediately used voice transmission to remind everyone in the Xingyuan territory. Night Sorrow, who had received Xing He's Great Starlight Technique, said to everyone through voice transmission, his ultimate technique is very powerful, but his strength is a little weak, so he didn't use the complete form. It can be seen that the people in the Xingyuan territory are very powerful, but their talent is not very good. Everyone killed. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, the people of the heavenly realm, as well as Blue Heart and the others, who could no longer hold back, all attacked. When they attacked, they cooperated with each other to display joint attack techniques and joint attack formations. As for the people from the Star Source territory, they had unleashed an extremely comprehensive spirit formation. They seemed to form a complete constellation. Every member seemed to have transformed into a celestial body, forming an extremely oppressive formation. Moreover, their attacks were mainly based on starlight. Combined with the use of starlight, it was like the different turrets of a battleship were attacking. This made it very difficult for the people from the heavenly world to get close to it, and thus, they were unable to break through its attacks. This Xingyuan territory is quite difficult to deal with. Moreover, they've occupied a good terrain, so we can't attack from all sides. It's very difficult to break through their defenses. The people from Heavenly World, Blue Heart, Cliff Mountain, Nether King, and the others attacked for a while, but they could not break through the starlight defense of Xingyuan territory. Furthermore, several sovereigns were struck by the starlight and suffered serious injuries. In comparison, The combined formations and techniques used by Yishang and the others were completely useless. Blue Heart immediately frowned and said, "The attacks of the people from the Xingyuan territory gave her a headache." Moreover, the people from the Xingyuan territory had already found a position with their backs. They only needed to attack Night Sorrow and the others who were in front of them. It seems that they're hiding here with a purpose. Cliff Mountain also said unhappily. 2 of his subordinates were already injured, which made his heart ache. After all, until now, there were only 4 cultivators left in the Cliff Mountain territory. If they lost any more, it would be too miserable. Indeed, they have a purpose. I didn't notice it before the battle, but now I understand. They're using their own characteristics to find a good terrain, wait for others to attack, and then counterattack. Night Sorrow nodded and motioned for everyone to temporarily stop attacking and see if the people from the Xingyuan territory would chase out. The reality was as he thought. The people from the Xingyuan territory did not come out at all. After Night Sorrow ordered his men to attack again, they once again bombarded with all kinds of starlight techniques, which was very troublesome. This feeling of wanting to fight but not being able to use any strength is really uncomfortable. After 3 consecutive waves of attacks, they did not charge in. Master Myriad Sword said angrily. He did not expect that the heavenly realm would encounter such a situation right after launching their second attack. It seemed that they could not deal with them at all. The others also frowned and thought of countermeasures. However, they felt that as long as the tigers did not move, there was nothing they could do. "Everyone, don't be impatient. I have a way to deal with them." Seeing that everyone's mood was unstable, Night Sorrow immediately comforted them. Then, he said, "Since I can break the array they set up, I can also set up a perfect array to restrain them. However, it will take about a year. You guys be on guard against them rushing out. I'll set up the array." The people from the Xingyuan territory occupied a very large area. If he wanted to set up an array that could cover them, he would need a lot of materials. However, Night Sorrow had already used the Sea Serpent's Eye to observe the terrain in front of him. It was suitable for setting up the Stellar Shift Array. Back then, he had set up the Stellar Shift Array in the Ancestral Phoenix's nest. In a situation where his strength was inferior to his opponents, not only could he protect himself, but he could also counterattack. If he could set it up here, he would be able to easily crush the people from the Xingyuan territory without losing out in terms of strength. Can Night Sorrow really set up an array that can completely counter the Xingyuan territory? Blue Heart asked doubtfully as she watched Night Sorrow's figure disappear into the horizon. As she gradually got to know him, she felt that Night Sorrow, the Divine King, was really not simple. Not only did he have the ability to fight across realms, but he also had endless methods. It was hard to imagine how terrifying he would be after advancing to the Sovereign Realm. She thought to herself, could it be that the Divine Realm can really rise up this time? However, she then shook her head and said, with the top 10 or even the top 20 territories suppressing them, it's impossible for them to rise up. I must be thinking too much. They won't give him any chance. Night Sorrow never talks nonsense. If he says he can set it up, then he can definitely set it up. While we wait, we just have to wait for the Xingyuan territory to attack. Xiao Tianxian looked at Blue Heart and replied. He also reminded everyone not to be careless. They had to prevent the people from the Xingyuan territory from suddenly attacking. They suddenly stopped. Did they give up on attacking and choose to leave? After the Divine Realm stopped attacking, one of the sovereigns from the Xingyuan territory asked. At this moment, they had yet to deactivate their battle mode, so they had expended a lot of energy. They haven't left yet. I just don't know what they're planning. Another sovereign, Star Eyes, replied. She was the strongest female cultivator in the Xingyuan territory. Her eyes were as deep as the stars, so she was named Star Eyes. Her eyes weren't just beautiful. Although she didn't see the people from the Divine Realm, she could sense their auras from afar. Genius remembered this site's address in 1 second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 2931. In Xing Mao's eyes, the auras of the realm of gods and their allies could not be hidden at all. Although her eyes were not as miraculous as Night Sorrow's sea serpent eyes, they still had their own uses. Is the Divine King's aura around? Xing He asked curiously when he heard Xing Mao's words. He had a feeling that Night Sorrow was not simple and would bring great trouble to the Xingyuan territory. Although they had the advantage now and the other party could not attack at all, he still felt uneasy. I did not pay attention to the Divine King's aura just now, so I am not sure which one is him. However, the people from the realm of gods and the other territories are not separated. Xing Mao said embarrassedly. Although Xing He had emphasized that Night Sorrow was different, Xing Mao did not take it to heart. Hence, she did not pay attention to Night Sorrow's aura. At this time, Night Sorrow had already set up a concealment rune on himself. Xing Mao could see the auras of others but not Night Sorrow's aura. Hence, she did not notice that Night Sorrow had left the realm of gods alone. They are not separated, so they should not be doing anything. It seems like they are waiting for us to take the initiative to attack. Xing He nodded. He believed in Xing Mao. Then he smiled and said, "The Elder's prophecy said that after we survive the first attack, we can go on a killing spree. Everyone, don't feel sullen. After we withstand the attack of the divine world, we can fight according to our hearts. The warriors of the Xingyuan territory are not people who only know how to hide. Don't worry, leader. We do not mean to blame you. Also, Great Elder Xingyun will not harm us." Hearing Xing He's words, Xing Mao smiled and comforted him. The other people of the Xingyuan territory also spoke up and supported Xing He's decision. In their eyes, Great Elder Xingyun, who was about to break through to the supreme realm, was a godlike existence. Basically, his prophecies came true. Setting up the stellar transposition array in such a large area really requires a large amount of materials. Fortunately, the materials in the eternal supreme world are much better than those in the realm of gods. While everyone in the Star Source territory was discussing, Night Sorrow had already secretly set up the stellar transposition array behind them. Night Sorrow estimated that the process of setting up the array would last for a year, but there should be some fluctuations. Over the past year or so, the people from the celestial realm, as well as Blue Heart and the others, not only had to guard against the sudden attack from the Star Source territory, but they also had to guard against the arrival of people from other territories in the starry sky. However, none of this happened in the end. 1 year and 2 months later, Night Sorrow successfully set up the stellar transposition array. Furthermore, he had set up a trap formation that was effective against sovereigns. The people of the Star Source territory were like turtles in a jar. "Ah, Brother Yi, you finally appeared. Does that mean the array formation has been successfully set up?" After Night Sorrow returned to the party, Master of Myriad Swords asked expectantly. She hoped to get a positive answer. "It's already set up. Everyone, get ready. The final battle between us and the Xingyuan territory is about to begin." Night Sorrow said, then continued, "Right now, the people of the Star Source territory are no longer a threat to everyone. Don't be too greedy and try not to get injured. In this battle, we'll try to win without shedding a drop of blood." Just what kind of array formation did you set up to make the Star Source territory, who attacked so fiercely, completely lose their threat? Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Blue Heart asked curiously. Actually, the other two people, Stone Mountain and Ming Jun, were also very curious about what kind of array Night Sorrow had set up. However, they weren't friends with the celestial realm and knew that they didn't have much right to speak, so they didn't speak much. However, in reality, the people of the celestial realm didn't discriminate against them. You'll know when the battle starts. Once the battle starts, don't worry and just charge forward. This time, you'll definitely get a chance to fight them in close combat. Night Sorrow didn't directly answer Blue Heart's question, as he felt that there was no need to. He quickly gathered everyone and reappeared in front of the people of the Star Source territory. After reappearing, Night Sorrow immediately said, "I'll give you a chance. If you choose to surrender immediately, I'll let you go. If you resist, the celestial realm won't show you any mercy." At this moment, He had complete confidence in winning and was prepared to give the Star Source territory a chance. However, when he heard this, the captain of the Star Source territory, Xing He, immediately became angry and said disdainfully, "If you have the ability, then attack. If you don't, then scram. Don't be so noisy." That's right. If you can't attack, then scram. The other people of the Star Source territory also supported Xing He. They were full of disdain towards Night Sorrow's words. Alright, since you're not willing to surrender, then I, Night Sorrow, won't be so wishy-washy. 100 years wasn't a long time. If they didn't get enough identity tokens in 100 years, the celestial realm would probably be eliminated. Therefore, Night Sorrow didn't waste any more time. He made use of the time and ordered the others to attack while he controlled the array formation. A stellar transposition array that covered 1/3 of the planet was very taxing on one's mind to control. Night Sorrow couldn't control it at all in battle. Everyone, follow me and destroy the Star Source territory. Great Immortal Sword Technique. Night Sorrow needed to control the array formation and couldn't participate in the battle. This was something that the Myriad Sword sect knew. As soon as Night Sorrow gave the order, he immediately let out a roar, transformed into a huge sword, and slashed towards the Xingyuan territory's members. Go. Let's follow. Seeing that the 10,000 Swords sect was rushing forward, Xiao Tianxian shouted from the back for everyone to follow. In his opinion, the Myriad Sword sect was too rash. Then, the Celestial Realms people, Blue Hearts people, Cliff Peaks people, and Nether Spirits people all followed the Myriad Sword sect and charged towards the Star Source territories people. You still dare to charge forward like this? Don't you remember what happened last time? Seeing the fierce charge, the captain of the Star Source territory, Xing He, laughed and ordered, "Warriors of the Star Source territory, cooperate with me and kill them." At the same time, the Star Source territory's people summoned the universe behind them and used the stellar transposition array from last time. In an instant, countless starlight shot towards the Myriad Sword sect's cultivators. There's so much starlight. Are we really going to continue charging like this? Recalling the injuries he suffered last time, a cultivator from the Cliff Peak territory immediately asked hesitantly. The two cultivators nearby also muttered in their hearts. They felt that if they charged directly under such a powerful starlight attack, they would be cannon fodder. Chapter 2932. Don't be afraid. This time, their attacks won't have any effect on us. They'll even hurt themselves. Night Sorrow, who was using his divine sense to check everyone's reactions, immediately sent a message to them when he noticed that something was wrong. Alright. Everyone who was doubtful could only grit their teeth and continue to charge toward the Xingyuan territory after hearing Night Sorrow's message. However, they were obviously lagging behind the people from the heavenly realm. Even Lan Xen was slightly slower and did not completely burst out with her speed. You're all courting death. Seeing the cultivators from the heavenly realm leading the others to charge toward them, a cold smile appeared on Xing He's face. At the same time, the countless rays of starlight that they shot out were approaching the Myriad Sword sect at the forefront of the heavenly realm. They were about to hit him. Are these people from the heavenly realm stupid? Xing Mao, who was beside Xing He, had a deep glint in her eyes. She could not understand why the cultivators from the heavenly realm would charge forward so recklessly. But soon, Xing He and Xing Mao's expressions changed. Just as the countless rays of starlight were about to hit the Myriad Sword sect that had transformed into a giant sword, all the starlight in the void changed directions and shot into the sky before disappearing into the void. What's going on? What kind of method did they use? Xing He's heart skipped a beat when he saw the starlight from his side disappear into the horizon. The method I used is called stellar transposition. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who was the furthest away from the Xingyuan territory, roared in the air. He controlled the starlight to cut through the void and suddenly shot toward the Xingyuan territory. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, countless rays of starlight bombarded the location where the cultivators from the Xingyuan territory were. Being bombarded by the starlight, loud sounds immediately came from the void. The ground where they were was directly sunk by hundreds of thousands of miles. 1/5 of the entire planet was hit. The cultivators from the Xingyuan territory were originally close to the area. Being bombarded by such dense and terrifying starlight, none of them were unharmed. Moreover, their injuries were quite serious. Quick! Snatch the identity nameplates. I've said it before, Brother Yi will never let us down. The 10,000 Swords sect, which was at the very front, did not hesitate at all from the beginning to the end. Furthermore, they were the fastest. Night Sorrow used the stellar transposition array to control the starlight. After attacking the stellar source territory, he was the first to attack one of the sovereigns. After being struck by the 10,000 Swords sect's sword, the middle-level sovereign of the star source territory immediately lost all ability to resist. The 10,000 Swords sect directly took him into their space grotto heaven, successfully capturing him alive. Furthermore, in his space paradise, under his control, the other party had no chance to use his identity token. After capturing one alive, he immediately attacked the other star source territory's people. At this time, Xiao Tianxian also arrived. Taking advantage of the unstable morale of the abyssal territory cultivators, he launched a swift and decisive attack. After Xiao Tianxian made his move, the other cultivators arrived one after another and started fighting with the cultivators from the star source territory. This stellar transposition formation is too terrifying. There's simply no way to counter us. Xinghe, who was also bombarded by several starlight beams, had blood flowing from the corner of his mouth. However, he didn't have time to wipe it off before he started fighting with the 10,000 Swords sect. At this time, everyone from the star source territory, including him, was clearly caught off guard and was somewhat stunned. For a moment, it was difficult to decide whether to fight or immediately crush their identity tokens to escape. Just as the people from the star source territory were stunned, the people from the God Realm territory had already killed or captured more than 10 sovereigns among them. At this time, Xinghe, whose head was about to explode, finally reacted and said, "Crush your identity token immediately. Escape as many as you can." But we won't escape. Our star source territory has already advanced to the finals of the battle for Providence 9 times in a row. This time, we will also advance. Hearing Xinghe's words, Xing Mao, who was about to cry, immediately retorted. The defeat and blow came so suddenly that she couldn't accept it. Xinghe sighed and said, "A loss is a loss. It's my tactic that was wrong. Everyone run." In fact, he had the ability to crush his identity token. However, as the captain of the star source territory, Xinghe didn't want to leave the others behind and escape by himself. Therefore, he had been fighting and didn't take out his identity token. Xing Mao and Xinghe had a very good relationship. Although they weren't lovers, they were like siblings and hadn't left. As for the others from the star source territory, 7 of them successfully escaped. In the end, including Xinghe and Xing Mao, 9 people were captured alive, and a few were killed. Boom! When the people from the God Realm territory controlled Xinghe, Xing Mao, and the other cultivators, the people from the God Realm territory immediately received a 10% boost, and their strength had increased to 30%. Although this kind of power would disappear after leaving the Battle of Providence, it was still a great experience to experience it for a moment. Moreover, with this move, although the people from the God Realm territory and the other 3 territories were injured, none of them died. After the battle ended, they admired Night Sorrow so much that they prostrated themselves on the ground. The trap array that I originally prepared wasn't used at all. The battle against the Star Source territory was a complete one-sided battle. The other party didn't organize a breakout at all. This made Night Sorrow admire the power of those starlights. The starlight released by the people from the Star Source territory was twice as strong as he had expected. This was because in today's battle, the Star Source territory was completely ruthless and didn't hold back at all. In the end, it was self-harm. While sighing, Night Sorrow gathered everyone on the battleship in the void. He said, "People of the Star Source territory, I'll give you 2 choices. One is to swear to the heavens that you will surrender to my God realm territory and serve us in the battle for providence. The second is that you will be killed directly and we will take the identity token ourselves. Just kill me. I, Xing He, will not surrender to you shameless bandits. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Xinghe, who was captured by the myriad sword sect and bound in the space grotto heaven, shouted out. Our God realm territory acts according to the rules of the battle for providence and has a clear conscience. It has nothing to do with bandits. If you participate in the battle, you must be prepared to be killed. This is not our cruelty, but the cruelty of the eternal supreme world. Natural selection, survival of the fittest. If you don't have enough strength, you can only be beaten. Yi Shang said coldly before continuing. Furthermore, our territory in the realm of the gods has been targeted by the top-ranked territories and suppressed to this level, yet we have not complained a single word. Instead, we are silently working hard to rise again. If you want to complain, we are more qualified than the Star Source territory. After saying this, Night Sorrow said with killing intent, I'll give you 20 breaths of time to communicate, and then make your final choice. Submit or die. Genius remembered the address of this site in a second. Human mobile version reading website, M. Chapter 29:33. Brother Yi, let's just let them decide. There's no need to give them time to study, right? After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Thousand Swords Zong was puzzled. He felt that there was no need to be lenient with captives. The more time we give them, the stronger their will to live. At present, we are still lacking people. If we have the people from Xingyuan territory as helpers, it will be very advantageous for us in some battles. After explaining to Thousand Swords Zong, Night Sorrow continued, we need to accumulate the most identity tags in the shortest time possible to ensure that the celestial realm territories can appear in the second round. Relatively speaking, our current strength is not considered strong. If we encounter a stronger territory, it will be very troublesome. You're right. We can't always encounter a weaker territory. If we don't have enough people, it will be very troublesome. We might be swallowed up by them immediately. That's definitely not a good thing. Thousand Swords Zong immediately understood. He felt that now was not the time to fish for fame. He agreed and continued, if we can absorb more cultivators from other territories at a critical moment, if we encounter a stronger territory and we can't win in terms of combat strength, we can let them hold us back. We will escape on our own and look for another opportunity. We'll see when the time comes. Although Night Sorrow was willing to give up a lot of things for the celestial realm territories, abandoning his comrades and running away crossed his bottom line. Alright, we'll act according to the circumstances. Thousand Swords Zong continued. To him, as long as the celestial realm territories were good, he did not care what they did. After that, the two of them gathered the rest of the celestial realm territories and discussed some details after their strength increased. Night Sorrow originally wanted the celestial realm territories to achieve a good result in the second round and get a good reward. However, after careful consideration, he felt that the tallest tree in the forest would be destroyed by the wind, especially when the celestial realm was in such a special situation. If the celestial realm showed its face in the second round and performed too outstandingly, it would definitely be targeted by people with ulterior motives. In that case, it would definitely be fatal in the finals. Therefore, after careful consideration, he decided to change his plan. He said to everyone, I plan to distribute a large number of identity tags to the cultivators from other territories after obtaining them. They will use their names to exchange for rewards for us. As for our territories in the God realm, we will try our best to be inconspicuous in order to avoid being targeted by our enemies. We'll try our best in the finals after we further improve our strength during the rest period of the competition for Providence. What do you think? Good idea. This is definitely a good idea. But while it's easy to say, it'll be difficult to actually do it, right? Murong Jilu agreed, but he was also puzzled. The cultivators from the other territories were easy to control, but it was difficult to control the number of identity tokens. If they didn't manage the quantity well, they might fail miserably. This matter is indeed not easy to grasp. Therefore, he had to take things one step at a time. He had come up with this idea during the war. Speaking of which, we're just feeling our way across the river. Night Sorrow agreed. He then looked at the others and said, "Do you guys have any suitable ideas? After all, my train of thought is limited." "Not at the moment, but I think your idea is very good. Pretending to be a coward in front of others, but becoming a king behind the scenes. When it comes to the final battle, we will go all out and strive for an unprecedented result. If you can break through to Dominator, we might be able to achieve results that will shock the entire Eternal Supreme World." Master Wan Jian said excitedly. He felt that after Night Sorrow appeared, the territories in the God Realm had been going in a good direction. In this way, he was indeed the legendary child of destiny. It's indeed very good. We don't need to care about temporary glory. As long as we get the benefits. What's our goal? Xiao Tianxian also agreed. He thought of hiding the results, but he didn't think of controlling multiple territories and getting them to help him get the rewards. In general, his plan wasn't as big as Night Sorrow's. According to my idea, we should at least get a reward for the top 10 and 3 to 5 rewards for the top 100. If we get these rewards, our strength will definitely increase. Before the finals, I will break through to Dominator, and all of you will reach peak Dominator. After all, there are only 9 of us, and the format of the finals isn't fixed, so an alliance might not be useful. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said his idea. The rewards he mentioned were calculated. It was enough for all of them to break through. Very good, let's fight according to this goal. Master Wan Jian said excitedly. The current state of the God Realm made him very happy. Yuan Fengxue, Jin Xian, and the others were also in a good mood. Originally, they were all worried about the depletion of the God Realm's karmic luck. However, after Night Sorrow's appearance, the situation immediately changed. That's about it. If there's a deviation, we'll plan carefully. Night Sorrow said to everyone again, then continued, "I'll go talk to the Star Source territory. If they're not willing to cooperate, we'll just take it that we've obtained 9 identity tokens." After that, he sent a voice transmission to the Star Source territory's people, who were in his own space grotto heaven. "Time's up. What's your decision?" "We've discussed it. We can agree to your request, but we can't leave our identity tokens. This way, if there's a life and death crisis, we can crush our identity tokens and leave. Also, if you have enough identity tokens, you'll have to give some to the Star Source territory. We want to advance to the finals." After Night Sorrow spoke, Xing He, who had already prepared an answer, replied firmly. Hearing this, Night Sorrow smiled and said, "There's no problem at all, but I have a request for you. First, you have to swear to the heavens that you won't use your identity tokens to leave for no reason. Second, we promise to let you advance to the finals, but if you get a ranking reward, you have to return it to the God Realm after you've received it. How about this?" "Hehe, there's no problem at all. However, our cooperation will end after the second round. If everyone advances to the finals, the Star Source territory will no longer work for you." Xing He, Xing Mao, and the others discussed for a while before continuing to speak to Night Sorrow. After talking, they felt that there was no value in dying in the second round. Therefore, they decided to temporarily submit to the God Realm and fight for them. But then it's decided. Night Sorrow, who had a plan in mind, was quite satisfied with this result. However, just as he was about to ask the Star Source territory's people to swear, using the Sea Serpent's eye, he saw a battleship on the horizon heading towards them. Clan M. Chapter 2934. This battleship was enormous, 4 to 5 times larger than the black battleship obtained by the Heavenly Realm. Even though it was just an ordinary voyage, one could already see its might. Everyone, pay attention. There's a battleship outside. Everyone, get ready for battle. The moment the battleship appeared, Night Sorrow reminded the people of the Heavenly Realm and Blue Heart. He told them to pay attention to the battleship's movements and get ready for battle. The 10,000 Sword Sect, Shao Tianxian, and the others also sensed the presence of the warship after Yi Shang's warning. However, they couldn't see its origin or identify its identity. Blue Heart, Cliff Mountain, Nether Lord, and the others from the other territories all changed their expressions. Blue Heart said with a heavy expression, "This is the battleship of the Heavenly Shadow Territory. They ranked 2,172 in the last battle for Providence. Their overall strength is definitely strong. In the second round, they'll definitely rank in the top 200. We're in danger." Top 200? Then we have to take them down. Thousand Sword Sect immediately perked up when he heard Blue Heart's words. He felt that the stronger the opponent, the better. What do you know? The cultivators of the Heavenly Shadow Territory are extremely difficult to deal with. With our strength, we're definitely no match for them. Blue Heart glanced at Thousand Sword Sect and felt that he was being blindly confident. Hearing Blue Heart's words, Night Sorrow asked Xing He of the Star Source Territory, "Do you know anything about the Heavenly Shadow Territory? If you do, can you introduce them to me?" The territories participating in the second round of the Battle for Providence should all know about the Heavenly Shadow Territory. Xing He in the Space Grotto Heaven shook his head. He didn't understand why Night Sorrow didn't know about the Heavenly Shadow Territory. Then he continued, "Although this Sky Shadow Territory was ranked 2172 in the last World War, their true strength is definitely within the top 2,000. They were unlucky to encounter a territory that was ranked in the top 30 and were defeated. I think their overall strength in the second round of the Battle for Providence will rank at least in the top 20. They might even rank first. What Blue Heart said outside isn't accurate. So they're that strong? However, I feel that the stronger they are, the better." Hearing Xing He's words, Night Sorrow's face was filled with the same fighting spirit as Thousand Sword Sect's. "You can't be serious, right? Are you preparing to fight with the Sky Shadow Territory?" Seeing Night Sorrow's fighting spirit, Xing He was a little speechless, but before he could speak, Xing Mao spoke first. As far as she was concerned, even if the members of the Star Source Territory submitted to the Heavenly Shadow Territory, the ragtag army before her was no match for the Heavenly Shadow Territory. Night Sorrow retorted, "Of course. Why else would we choose to flee in the warship? Since I'm at a disadvantage, I naturally have to escape first. What's so shameful about that?" Xing Mao said matter-of-factly. "Why do you think that we are weaker than the Sky Shadow Territory?" Yi Shang observed the battleship that was getting closer and closer in the void and smiled confidently. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Xing Mao snorted disdainfully and said, "This is a fact that anyone with eyes can see. Don't think that you're invincible in the War of Providence just because you defeated my Star Source Territory by luck." I don't want to argue with you. However, I want to tell you that on the path of cultivation, although talent and hard work are important, vision and courage are equally important. Night Sorrow said to Xing Mao and then ordered, "Hurry up and swear a heavenly oath. We might need you in the battle later. If you insist on fighting with the Heavenly Shadow Territory, then it won't matter whether we swear a heavenly oath or not," Xing Mao said in despair. Xing Mao said in despair. She felt that the Heavenly Shadow Territory was still far away. Yi Shang could take everyone and escape. If you only have this much courage, then it's indeed useless. Xing He, do you think so too? Night Sorrow ignored Xing Mao and said to Xing He, "Regardless of whether it's useful or not, my Star Source Territory is a man of his word. We won't go back on what we've discussed. Let's swear a heavenly oath." Xing He obviously felt that the celestial realm had no chance, but he didn't say it out loud. Instead, he ordered everyone to swear a heavenly oath. At this moment, Xing Mao said unhappily, "What's the use of swearing a heavenly oath? You can crush your identity token and return to the Star Source Territory. We don't need people like you who disturb the morale of the army." Night Sorrow said coldly after Xing Mao spoke again. Moreover, he felt that she was a little retarded. She seemed to have forgotten how they had lost. With the help of the Stellar Transposition Array, even if the Heavenly Shadow Territory was very strong, they didn't have much chance of winning against the Celestial Realm. "Night Sorrow, please give Xing Mao a chance." She won't speak like that in the future. Xing He immediately said when he saw that Night Sorrow was chasing Xing Mao away. It was impossible for the entire Star Source territory to give up on this battle. Moreover, he didn't want Xing Mao to go back with a face full of dirt. Only this once. Night Sorrow said and released everyone who had sworn a heavenly oath. At the same time, he looked at the others and said, "Everyone, prepare for battle. Last time we attacked. This time, we will defend. However, the essence is the same. We just have to defeat the opponent. Good. The celestial realm will win." After Yi Shang finished speaking, the rest of the people in the God realm roared in unison. Trash celestial realm. What are you all doing? You still want to win? When you encounter the heavenly shadow territory, you'd better crush your nameplates and run back. Otherwise, you will all die here. After the celestial realm's people shouted, Tianingyu, the vice captain of the heavenly shadow territory, mocked them. I'll say the same thing to the heavenly shadow territory. If you want to live, scram. Otherwise, I'll kill all of you. After the vice captain of the heavenly shadow territory spoke, Myriad Jianzong immediately said with disdain. At this time, Night Sorrow transmitted a message to Myriad Jianzong. Try to make them angry and attack us. The array can only last for a limited time. Setting up a huge stellar transposition array required a lot of materials and required a lot of energy. The array couldn't last forever. Brother Yi, don't worry. I'm good at this kind of thing. After hearing Night Sorrow's message, Myriad Jianzong replied and looked at the void again, preparing to shout something. However, at this time, a total of 40 cultivators with strong auras flew down from the huge battleship. The leader of the group was the vice captain of the heavenly shadow territory, Tianingyu. You're the one who shouted just now? Look at your pointy mouth and monkey-like face. You're definitely not the leader of the heavenly shadow territory, right? Let him come out and talk. Myriad Jianzong shouted when he saw the people flying down. Genius memorized this site's address. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 2935. One team from the Sky Shadow territory is enough to deal with you. Tianingyu looked down at the people below with disdain. Then he ordered, kill them all, especially the talkative one. Tianingyu, the vice captain of the Sky Shadow territory, pointed at Master Wanjian. Don't worry, Captain Yu. We won't let anyone off. Unless they crush their nameplates right now. Tianinyu's subordinates replied, then immediately attacked the people from the God realm. Tianingyu, who was floating in the void, observed for a while and sneered. Do you really think you're so strong? I'll let you see the strength of my subordinates. In fact, the total number of people from the Sky Shadow territory participating in the second round was only 40. However, through plundering, they had evolved into two teams with 40 cultivators. The team in front of them was led by Tianingyu. The other team was led by the strongest person in the Sky Shadow territory, Tian Yingwushwang. Tian Yingwushwang and Tianingyu were about the same number of people, but their combat power was stronger. Aren't you also a bunch of trash? What are you showing off for? Master Wanjian shouted. Then he looked at Tianingyu and said, Do you dare to fight me? Do I, Tianingyu, dare to fight you? Who do you think you are? An expert from the 10 great territories? Tianingyu sneered when he heard Master Wanjian's words. Cut the crap. Do you dare or not? Come over here and let's fight one-on-one. Master Wanjian shouted when he saw that Tianingyu was still floating in the void instead of flying towards the array. Good. I, Tianingyu, was not prepared to drink blood today, but you insisted on it. Tianingyu thought highly of himself after being challenged. He felt that it was a humiliation to be challenged by a cultivator from the God realm. You speak as if you're an expert from the 10 great territories. Come, let me see what you're capable of. Wan Jianzong said unwillingly. Tianingyu's aura seemed to be stronger than his, but he was not worried at all because of the star-shifting formation. Tianingyu, who felt provoked, executed the strongest movement technique of the Sky Shadow tribe. Invisible Sky Shadow Technique. Tian Yingyu's body immediately disappeared into the void when he executed this movement technique. The 10,000 Swords Master immediately felt his life threatened. He transmitted his voice, "Brother Yi, save me. Don't worry, there's no need to be afraid. You can attack at will, and I can control where he appears. When he comes, we'll cooperate well." Night Sorrow wasn't going to attack, but he was going to control the stellar transposition array to deal with the people from the Sky Shadow Estate. After replying to the 10,000 Swords sect, Night Sorrow looked at the others and said, "We will definitely win this battle. Feel free to use your ultimate techniques. Also, remember, even if your life is in danger, don't crush your identity plates. I have a way to save you." "Yi Shang, you mean, how are you going to save us?" Everyone was confused. They didn't know what to do, so Lan Xen asked for everyone. "You are all in the stellar transposition array. If anyone is in danger, I will help you. You will understand when the battle starts. I am the god who controls everything in the array." Yi Shang explained briefly and then focused his attention to prepare for the start of the battle. At this moment, Tian Yingyu was the fastest among the people from the Sky Shadow Estate. Because his bloodline talent was the strongest, he rushed to the front. Seeing him rushing toward the 10,000 Swords Master, Night Sorrow said, "Night Sorrow." Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to the Myriad Sword Sect. "Once you're close enough, attack in any direction. I won't let your attack miss." "Understood." The 10,000 Swords Master thought for a moment and smiled. Although he couldn't see Tian Yingyu's attack clearly, he knew Night Sorrow's ability. When Tian Yingyu's aura was close enough, he immediately attacked the void with the Great Deity Sword technique. The direction he attacked was ridiculously crooked. Tian Yingyu, Lan Xen, Xing He, and the others were all stunned. They didn't understand what the 10,000 Swords Master was doing. Endless doubts arose in their hearts. "But I understand now. You are weaker than I thought. You can't see me at all, so you can only attack at will." Tian Yingyu, who was using the invisible sky shadow technique, suddenly seemed to understand something. The rest of the people from the Sky Shadow Estate laughed. They felt that the cultivators from the heavenly realm were too unreliable. How shameful! "Brother Wan, get ready. I am going to activate the array." At this moment, Yi Shang transmitted a message to the Myriad Swords sect and completely activated the two formations. Then, he threw Tian Yingyu in front of the 10,000 Swords Master. Boom! Tian Yingyu, who was laughing at the 10,000 Swords Master, was immediately sent flying by the Great Deity Sword technique. The 10,000 Swords Master's strength was not weak. Now that Tian Yingyu was unprepared, he was severely injured. "Laugh? Why don't you laugh again?" After one successful attack, the Myriad Swords sect attacked him again. "Oh no! This place is very strange. There must be an array here. Everyone, retreat immediately. I can't control my position at this critical moment." After being injured, Tian Yingyu's expression became serious. "Don't you think it's too late to leave now?" The 10,000 Swords Master was not going to let Tian Yingyu escape. He immediately chased after him. At this time, Night Sorrow said with a smile, "There's no need to chase. You can attack again. But with you here, what's the point of chasing?" The 10,000 Swords Master laughed and once again used the ridiculously crooked Great Deity Sword technique. This time, no one in the Sky Shadow Estate dared to laugh at him. Everyone's expression was very serious. Boom! After a moment, Tian Yingyu was hit again. After being hit twice in a row, he was on the verge of death. The rest of the Sky Shadow Estate saw that Tian Yingyu was about to die. They could only brace themselves and charge forward. Of course, at the front of the team were naturally the cannon fodder from the other estates. Now everyone should understand that I was not bluffing. In this battle, no one is a match for us. Night Sorrow, who had easily defeated Tian Yingyu with the help of the 10,000 Swords Master, saw that the people of the Sky Shadow Estate were about to attack. He immediately preached to the others and let them fight. "Everyone follow me." After Night Sorrow spoke, Xiao Tianxin immediately led the others and charged forward. This time, Night Sorrow and the 10,000 Swords Master did not use the combined attack technique with them. However, he knew that Night Sorrow was fighting side by side with him. He did not panic at all. As for Xing He and Xing Mao, who had already understood Night Sorrow's ability, they were extremely shocked when they saw each other. The ability that Night Sorrow had displayed had truly shaken them to the core. Xing Mao, who originally thought that Night Sorrow was a frog at the bottom of a well, suddenly felt that her cheeks had been slapped red. Genius memorized this site's address in 1 second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 29:36. As for the people of the Heavenly Shadow Estate, they were all caught off guard by Night Sorrow's ability. After Tian Yingyu gave the order, they all panicked. Although they had the advantage in numbers, their fighting strength was naturally reduced when their morale was shaken. The Myriad Sword Sect, which had been keeping an eye on Tian Yingyu, had been pressuring him, so he had no time to recover from his injuries. Cannon fodder, self-destruct. Seeing that the situation was not good, Tian Yingyu immediately gave the order. He ordered the cultivators of the other estates to self-destruct. Tian Yingyu did not treat the cultivators who had submitted to him as human beings. It was completely different from what the Heavenly Realm Estate did. Boom, boom, boom. After Tian Yingyu gave the order, the cultivators of the other estates had no choice but to self-destruct, although they were unwilling to die like this. How cruel! In an instant, more than 10 sovereign realm cultivators had self-destructed. This power was extremely terrifying. When the self-destruction began, the cultivators of the Heavenly Realm Estate and the other estates were shocked. Soon, they realized that Night Sorrow could not only teleport his opponents and skills, but he could also teleport his own people. He had allowed everyone to remain unharmed in the violent self-destruction. This array is really omnipotent. Xing Mao, who had been fighting with the cultivators of the Heavenly Shadow Estate, put away the contempt in her heart and said solemnly. Now, she completely understood why they had lost. In such a formation, not to mention them, even the territories ranked at the top would not have any chance. Of course, the estates that could break the array did not count. I've always felt that Night Sorrow was not simple. Xing He, who was fighting, looked into the void to find Night Sorrow's position, but he did not find anything. At this moment, Night Sorrow seemed to have completely merged with the array. Quick, contact the other team and ask them to rescue the people outside. Seeing that the self-destruction did not work, Tian Yingyu panicked. At this moment, he had been hit consecutively, and his strength had been reduced to less than 10%. He could not fight anymore. After giving the order, he sent a message to the people of the Heavenly Shadow Estate, saying, "If you have no other choice, crush your identity nameplates to protect yourself. We've really lost this time." Tian Yingyu felt aggrieved after being defeated so thoroughly. He regretted that he had charged over without caring about anything else. He entered the strange formation before him. This formation was completely dominated by a single person. This feeling made him feel extremely hopeless. At this moment, Night Sorrow suddenly had an epiphany while everyone was fighting. He thought to himself, if I can set up such a formation in the entire Eternal Supreme World, will I become truly invincible? After thinking about it carefully, Night Sorrow felt that it was unrealistic. However, he felt that some thoughts had been opened up. But at this time, Tian Yingyu could not hold on any longer. He took out his identity plate and was about to crush it. Night Sorrow immediately interrupted his train of thought and used stellar transposition to retrieve the nameplate in his hand. He appeared from the void of space and said, "If you want to live, there is a way." "What is it?" Tian Yingyu asked with a serious expression. Originally, he had wanted to rise to the top in the Heavenly Shadow territory because of this battle of providence. However, the crushing defeat in front of him had dealt him a heavy blow. At the same time, he understood that there were tens of thousands of realms in the Eternal Supreme World. There were too many secret techniques, secret treasures, and divine artifact arrays. No territory could be underestimated. If they had been more cautious, they would not have failed so quickly. Tell everyone to stop. I don't want to talk to a bunch of dead people. Night Sorrow glanced at Tianyu. At this time, there were still 17 cultivators left in the Heavenly Shadow territory. None of the cultivators from the Heavenly Shadow territory had died. If they continued to fight, there would be no one left in the Heavenly Shadow territory. But all of you stop. Come to me. Tianyu, who was standing in the void, was very weak. He called the remaining cultivators of the Heavenly Shadow territory over and continued, "Speak. My idea is very simple. We will help the Heavenly Shadow territory enter the top 10 in the second round of the Battle of Providence, but the reward will be ours." Night Sorrow looked at Tianyu and the others of the Heavenly Shadow territory and said, "Do you know what you are talking about?" Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Tianyu said disdainfully, "You want to control a puppet territory and enter the top 10 with just the few of you? If I give you the reward, what about the Providence? If you and your other team all submit, I am confident that I can send you to the top 10. The Providence will naturally belong to the Heavenly Shadow territory. But I want all the rules and essences of the reward." Night Sorrow said confidently. The Heavenly Shadow territory had some reputation in the Battle of Providence. No one would doubt that he could push them to the top 10. After they appeared, Night Sorrow had the idea of subduing them. He secretly warned the Myriad Sword sect to show mercy. Otherwise, Tianyu would have been killed long ago. I, Tianyu, can choose to agree to your request under such circumstances. But I will not betray the other team in my territory. Also, I don't believe that you have the strength to send us to the top 10. Tianyu, Xing He, Xing Mao, and the others felt that Night Sorrow was too arrogant. He was the Divine King, but he had the feeling that he controlled everything, which made people uncomfortable. Usually, when the Divine King saw these powerful genius sovereigns, he would have to bow to them. But now, Night Sorrow could easily suppress them. Before the battle, you also didn't believe that we could defeat the Heavenly Shadow territory without bloodshed. Night Sorrow smiled and continued, "Also, you have already betrayed the other team. Let's wait for them to come." Tianyu's expression changed when he heard this. Then he smiled. "The leader of the other team is not on good terms with me, so he might not come. You should give up the idea of dealing with them." Now that things had developed to this point, he no longer begged to be rescued. He also didn't want the other team in the Heavenly Shadow territory to be enslaved by the realm of the gods like them. "You're wrong. They are very close to you. So close that you can't imagine." Night Sorrow glanced at the void and said, "If I'm not wrong, they are probably looking for an opportunity to kill you." Then, Night Sorrow used the star-shifting formation to simulate a fake battle scene. In these battle scenes, the people from the realm of the gods and Tianyu's team were fighting very fiercely. Both sides looked like they were going to perish together, and the consumption was extremely great. He had already used the Sea Serpent's Eye to find the other team in the Heavenly Shadow territory, and he wanted to lure them into the formation. Genius 1 second memorized the address of this site. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 2937. Impossible. Don't sow discord here. Although Tianyu doesn't get along with me, he's the captain. He won't attack me in the Battle of Providence. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Tianyu, who had recovered a little bit of his strength, retorted in disbelief. "Do you have to wait for someone to put a knife to your neck before you come to your senses?" Night Sorrow sneered and continued, "Then we'll wait and see. When they arrive, cooperate with me to put on a show. Then you'll see their true colors." "But we'll cooperate with you. If Unparalleled Sky Shadow really attacks us..." Tianyu suddenly paused. He had originally wanted to say that if Tianyu Wushuang's team attacked them, he would lead his subordinates to help Yishan deal with Tianyu Wushuang and the others. However, after thinking about it, Tianyu felt that he didn't have the right to say those words. "If they attack you, I'll help you to get rid of them. Then you'll listen to the command of the realm of gods. How about that? Night Sorrow looked at Tian Yu and the others present. What do you all think? Tian Yu looked back at the people behind him and asked. If Tian Wuxuang really did such a thing, we must kill him no matter what the cost. One of the rulers of the Sky Shadow Estate said angrily. He then continued, but Tian is here to rescue us. Even if we die, we shouldn't submit to the realm of gods. That's what we think too. The others of the Sky Shadow Estate nodded in agreement. In fact, this was similar to what Tian Yu had thought. Therefore, Tian Yu looked at Night Sorrow and said, I agree. However, you don't have to help us at all. Why do you have to do this? Although the realm of gods hopes to find one of the top 10 territories to cover for us and get the rewards of the Battle of Providence. However, we can't accept cultivators who plot against our own people. Night Sorrow said, then pointed to the void and said, see for yourselves. Looking in the direction Night Sorrow pointed, they saw the fierce battle between the realm of gods and them. Naturally, it was an extremely tragic battle. Just as Tian Yu and the Myriad Sword sect were fighting to the point where both sides were heavily injured, the team led by Tian Yu suddenly charged out of the void and charged toward the people, in the middle of the battle. Tian Wuxuang, who was at the front, immediately attacked Tian Yu in the image. However, his long spear naturally flashed past Tian Yu's body. We've been tricked. Although the aura is real, what we saw was all in the illusion array of gods. Tian, you can really do such a thing. When Tian Yu saw Tian, SSS, Inyus. Tian, SSS, anger, it wasn't just Tian Yu. Some of the cultivators around him were furious as well. Tian Wuxuang was their captain and the #1 figure of the Tianying territory in the Battle of Providence. However, he was preparing to eliminate dissidents in the battle. This behavior made them very unhappy. When Night Sorrow removed the illusion array of shifting stars, Tian Yu immediately saw the confused Tian. He said furiously, Tian Wuxuang, Tian Yu, never thought that you would actually want to kill me. How can you eliminate your opponents like this? Are you worthy of the Sky Shadow territory? My name is Tian. I won't be on par with anyone else. I can only be unique, so you must die. Although I don't know what method you used to confuse me with an illusion, you will definitely be killed. Tian Wuxuang looked at Tian Yu coldly and ordered mercilessly, kill everyone here. Tian Yu, will kill you today. When Tian Yu saw that Tian didn't even want to talk to him, he finally understood what was going on. He shouted and sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow, I agree to any of your requests. Help us kill Tian. You want to kill me? Do you think you and these trashy cultivators can kill me? Just wait for your death. Unparalleled Sky Shadow said coldly and flew towards Sky Shadow Zhang. He wanted to end his life right there and then. But at this moment, Night Sorrow replied to Tian Yu and secretly controlled the Star Shift Great Array. He also sent a voice transmission to Myriad Sword Sect, help. Do your best to kill the people who appear later and take their identity plates. Okay. With this formation of yours, they aren't a threat at all. Master Myriad Swords chuckled, then joined Xiao Tianxian and the others in fighting alongside Tian Yu and the others. Tian Yu and the others had consumed a lot of energy and hadn't fully recovered. In fact, their combat strength was not strong. However, with the Celestial Realm, Xingyuan Territory, Nether Soul Territory, Cliff Peak Territory, and Blue Heart, their combat strength was still very strong. Most importantly, there was Yi Shang, who was like a creator. On their side, they were not at a disadvantage at all after the battle started. By the time Peerless Heavenly Shadow discovered the Stellar Transposition Grand Array, it was already too late to retreat. He sent a voice transmission to the cultivators under him. Try to use melee attacks to protect yourselves. There is an expert controlling the formation hidden here. I will go and find him. Who do you want to find? Myriad Sword Sect, who defeated Tian Yu with Night Sorrow's help, was furious when he heard Tian say that he wanted to find Night Sorrow. I will kill you first, Then I will kill the person controlling the formation. Heavenly Shadow Wushuang gave a cold snort and executed one of Heavenly Shadow Territory's great techniques. The traceless sky shadow allowed him to merge with the void. Where is he? Why can't I feel any primordial chi? After Tianying fused with the void, Myriad Sword Sect immediately felt a strong sense of danger. He knew that if Night Sorrow wasn't controlling the formation behind him, he definitely wouldn't be Tianying's opponent. However, when he thought of Night Sorrow's abilities, Myriad Sword Sect immediately roared, Great Immortal Sword Technique. Then, he casually used the Great Immortal Sword Technique in a direction. You can't find me, so you started to attack randomly? Tianying, who was hiding in the void, saw Myriad Sword Sect's random attack and immediately mocked. However, what he didn't expect was that after Myriad Sword Sect's sword bombarded out, it seemed to be far away. But in the next moment, it appeared in front of him. Even if Tianying's void movement technique was very mysterious, he couldn't dodge this attack that appeared out of nowhere. Suddenly, the sword slammed into his shoulder blade, directly shattering his left shoulder. Clan M. Chapter 2938. What's going on? He can actually discover my location? His left shoulder was shattered by the sword, and his heart was almost exposed. Unparalleled Sky Shadow immediately coughed up a mouthful of blood. Amidst his shock, he completely realized that this was another function of the formation. Not only could the formation change the cultivator's attack at will, but it could also determine everyone's location. This was simply a heaven-defying effect. No, I must find him or break the formation directly. After thinking for a moment, Unparalleled Sky Shadow suddenly roared, Unparalleled Sky Shadow Technique. With a bang, he disappeared into the void again. He felt that the movement technique he used just now was a little shallow and could not hide himself, so he immediately used his bloodline ultimate skill. Unparalleled Sky Shadow Technique was engraved in his palm when he was born. It was also because of this that his parents named him Unparalleled Sky Shadow. Unparalleled Sky Shadow Technique. It's really mysterious. After Unparalleled Sky Shadow used the Unparalleled Sky Shadow Technique to hide in the void, Night Sorrow immediately sighed. This was because he discovered that even in the formation he controlled, he could not find any trace of Unparalleled Sky Shadow. This was a very dangerous signal. If Unparalleled Sky Shadow wanted to assassinate someone present, he did not know if he could withstand it. Everyone, quickly attack and kill everyone else. I'll cooperate with you. Unable to find Unparalleled Sky Shadow's location, Night Sorrow immediately transmitted his voice to Myriad Sword Sect, Blue Heart, and the others, telling them to quickly finish off everyone else. Okay. After Myriad Sword Sect and the others responded, they immediately attacked the others in Sky Shadow territory. Tianying, who had recovered a little, also attacked completely and began a massacre. He did not show any mercy to Unparalleled Sky Shadow and the others who wanted to kill him. At the same time, he transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow, Unparalleled Sky Shadow's bloodline ultimate skill, Unparalleled Sky Shadow Technique. As long as he doesn't move in the void, no one can discover him, not even Supremes. However, if he attacks, he will appear. Good. That's easy. Night Sorrow immediately felt relieved when he heard Tianying use words. He ignored Tianying Wushuang and cooperated with the others to attack the people brought by Tianying Wushuang. During this process, Night Sorrow had been paying attention to Unparalleled Sky Shadow's fluctuations. Even when he took out his identity token, he would discover him. However, Tianying Wushuang did not appear even after everyone had killed his subordinates. You're really ruthless. After the battle ended, Unparalleled Heavenly Shadow did not appear at all. Night Sorrow shouted towards the void. Then, he began to set up the array, strengthening the trapping array and adding in a lot of illusory arrays. This could guarantee that Unparalleled Heavenly Shadow would not be able to leave within 100 years. After he was done, Night Sorrow said, "Let's go." He can no longer pose a threat to us in the second round of the battle for Providence. From now on, we will focus on fighting and seize as many doppelganger nameplates as possible. Good. However, it's very likely that Tian-Ing Wushuang already has a large number of identity nameplates that we can't get. He will probably wait until the end of the second round before he appears. Xiao Tianxian said regretfully. Don't worry, it's only been a few years. We still have a lot of time later. In addition, after killing so many juggernauts and obtaining so many laws and essences, I should be able to advance to the peak of the upper Divine King after absorbing them. My combat strength can rise to another level. After Night Sorrow said this, he called everyone over and said, Next, we will fight in the name of the Heavenly Shadow Territory. However, I will enter a state of cultivation. Everyone listen to Xiao Tianxuan's command. The Myriad Sword Sect will cooperate. Good. We have no objections. It's the same to listen to anyone. Xing He of the Star Source Territory immediately said. As for the Nether Soul Territory and the Rock Peak Territory, which had cooperated with Night Sorrow earlier, there was nothing to say. They agreed one after another. As for the Myriad Sword Sect, he was not very interested in commanding. He liked to rush up and fight, so he had no objections. Lon Exon was in charge of setting the route. After everything was arranged, Night Sorrow returned to the array, collected all the scattered laws and essences using a spatial artifact, and prepared to board the warship to meet up with the others. Murderous aura. However, just as Night Sorrow left the array, he suddenly felt a faint murderous aura behind him. He immediately hid in the distance. Night Sorrow, what's wrong with you? Seeing Night Sorrow's expression suddenly change and hide, Xiao Tianxian immediately asked with concern. Just now, there was a murderous aura approaching me from the void. I was hiding. Night Sorrow explained. The moment he finished his explanation, he felt the murderous aura again. Night Sorrow continued, There's still murderous aura. Could it be the unparalleled heavenly shadow following us? Isn't your array formation very mysterious? Logically speaking, he can't come out so easily, right? Xiao Tianxian said with a frown. If an existence that could hide in the void kept following them, it would be too uncomfortable. At this moment, Tianing Yu said, I know. The unparalleled heavenly shadow must have cultivated the unparalleled heavenly shadow technique to the legendary realm. He was attached to your shadow just now and followed you out of the array formation. That's one of his secret techniques. It can be done like that. Night Sorrow, who had activated the Sea Serpent's eye, immediately observed his surroundings. When he looked around, the murderous aura around him suddenly disappeared and he didn't find anyone. It's not easy to deal with, but it doesn't matter. We'll just proceed normally. The unparalleled heavenly shadow alone can't pose much of a threat. Night Sorrow said and went to Tianing Yu's battleship to set up an array. Ignoring the murderous aura around him, he directly absorbed the sovereign laws and essence. When Night Sorrow absorbed these laws and essence, the murderous aura was still there, making people uneasy. However, Night Sorrow ignored it and continued to absorb. Night Sorrow is definitely taking a risk by doing this. Not far away, Xiao Tianxian secretly sighed as he watched Night Sorrow cultivate. Myriad Sword Sect said with a smile, Don't worry about Night Sorrow. He'll definitely be fine. Let's see if the unparalleled heavenly shadow is courting death. Myriad Sword Sect was 100% assured about Night Sorrow. He felt that he wasn't a reckless person at all. Cultivating under such circumstances definitely meant that he had the confidence to fight against the unparalleled heavenly shadow. With my current cultivation speed, I should be able to reach the peak of the Divine King in 2 years, which is the half-step sovereign. Night Sorrow, who ignored the murderous aura, quickly entered the state and quickly absorbed the laws and essence from the heavenly shadow territory's cultivators. Meanwhile, the murderous aura around him was getting heavier and heavier. Even though he was cultivating, Yi Shang could clearly sense it. Clearly, he was absorbing the laws and essence of the heavenly shadow territory's cultivators, which made the unparalleled heavenly shadow even angrier. Genius memorized this site's address in 1 second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 2939. Originally, Sky Shadow Territory's goal in this battle for Providence was to enter the top 2,000 and strive to enter the top 1,000. Now, he had fallen to such a miserable state. Sky Shadow Territory had submitted to the divine world, and he, Sky Shadow, was left alone. He could only rely on his bloodline to hide in the void and wait for an opportunity to attack. This was already the most miserable ending he could imagine. Night Sorrow, is it? I, Sky Shadow, will let you suffer the torture of killing intent and then kill you when you least expect it. Sky Shadow, who was hidden in the void, was like a floating ghost, staring at Night Sorrow. He used the faint killing intent to interfere with his cultivation. It was impossible for Night Sorrow to be 100% unaffected by Sky Shadow's interference. But overall, the speed at which he absorbed the laws and essence was not much affected. At the same time, Night Sorrow was also using the Sea Serpent's Eye to absorb the laws and essence, wanting to improve it further. The fact that he could not see Sky Shadow rang the alarm bell for Night Sorrow. It made him realize that the eternal supreme world was countless strong and had endless means. He had to strengthen his own special means. In addition to the Sea Serpent's Eye, Night Sorrow began to think about the power of merit and the taboo attribute. In the eternal supreme world, there were countless geniuses and sovereigns everywhere. The taboo attribute was not too surprising, so it was not considered surprising. Whether Night Sorrow temporarily gave up using the power of merit or not, he could still use it normally. As for his greatest advantage, it was that the Immortal God technique was balanced and did not have any obvious shortcomings. His body had the golden body, and his vitality and divine spirit were also very strong, far surpassing those of the same level. After thinking carefully, Night Sorrow thought to himself, it seems that at present, the most important point to achieve good results in the final competition is to advance to the sovereign level. This is my greatest advantage. It's just that I'm not sure what kind of strength the top territories have. Although Night Sorrow had never said it, the result he wanted in the final competition was definitely not the top 1,000. Damn it. At this rate, he will definitely become stronger and stronger. Is he not afraid of my murderous aura? While Night Sorrow was constantly pondering and absorbing the laws and essence, unparalleled Sky Shadow, who was hidden in the void, couldn't help but want to attack. Originally, he wanted to intimidate Night Sorrow and make him uneasy. Then, when the firmament's territory was at war with the other territories, he would choose to make a move. But now, as he watched Night Sorrow continuously absorb the laws and essence of the Sky Shadow Sovereign, his aura grew stronger and stronger. Unparalleled Heaven Shadow could no longer hold himself back. After pondering for a moment, he suddenly appeared in the void and unleashed the Heaven's Shadow Annihilation. After the Heaven's Shadow Annihilation technique was used, the essence energy of the world seemed to gather at the fingertips of the Heaven's Shadow Unparalleled. Then he struck his two fingers at Night Sorrow, who was in the midst of cultivation. Why aren't you moving? When the power gathered at his two fingers struck out, Unparalleled Sky Shadow was stunned because he found that Night Sorrow didn't move at all and was still sitting in the same place, cultivating. Unparalleled Sky Shadow was clear that with his strength, if he forcefully struck Night Sorrow's head, his divine sea would definitely shatter immediately. Who said I'm not moving? At this moment, Night Sorrow's voice rang in Unparalleled Sky Shadow's ears. What? Hearing Night Sorrow's voice, Unparalleled Sky Shadow was immediately shocked. When he came back to his senses, he immediately felt an extremely terrifying force attacking him. Night Sorrow, who had lured Unparalleled Sky Shadow out, directly used a half-step Supreme Divine Artifact. This was also considered respect for Unparalleled Sky Shadow. Moreover, after Unparalleled Sky Shadow came out, Night Sorrow directly used the Horn Clan's secret technique to remember his aura. This time, no matter what, the other party could no longer hide. As the saying went, how could one allow others to sleep beside one's bed? Unparalleled Sky Shadow had been hiding in the void, so how could Night Sorrow be completely at ease? After he arrived on the Sky Shadow Territories battleship, he set up an exquisite illusion array and had been cultivating in the illusion array. Unparalleled Sky Shadow also saw the same thing, but the position he saw was different from the real position. That kind of distance was like the refraction of water. Therefore, after Unparalleled Sky Shadow attacked, he could clearly see that he also directly used the half-step Supreme Divine Artifact Golden Heavenly Halberd and blasted out the Reincarnation Spear. Unparalleled Sky Shadow, who was on guard but obviously didn't expect Night Sorrow to attack him from behind, was immediately seriously injured. If not for the high grade of his protective treasure, his dantian would have been directly shattered by Night Sorrow's attack. "How did you do it?" Unparalleled Sky Shadow coldly questioned and prepared to use his bloodline secret technique again to hide in the void. The battleship was only so big. If he caused such a big commotion, the others would quickly surround him. This was what Unparalleled Sky Shadow didn't want to see. You have some tricks, but others have more. This time, you can't escape even if you have wings. Prepare to die. Night Sorrow looked at Unparalleled Sky Shadow and said. Then he attacked again and blasted out the Yang Clan sky-splitting art. Then he attacked Unparalleled Sky Shadow with the Divine Origin Trapping Array and the Merit Trapping Array. Under the influence of the double trapping array, how could Unparalleled Sky Shadow escape? Although he disappeared into the void, it was obvious that he was still in the array. With a loud bang, the Sky Shadow Territories battleship trembled from Night Sorrow's attack. Although Unparalleled Sky Shadow, who was hidden in the void, didn't show himself, he was ruthlessly bombarded. Bastard! I, Unparalleled Sky Shadow, am unwilling to accept this. After being hit by Night Sorrow's 2 consecutive attacks, Unparalleled Sky Shadow was seriously injured. Now, he only had one choice left, and that was to crush his identity plate and give up the battle for Providence. But if he did that, he wouldn't be able to take the identity plate away and it would all be taken advantage of by Night Sorrow. Therefore, he was very unwilling. Now, you understand who's the hunter and who's the prey, right? So what if you can hide in the void? Night Sorrow snorted coldly and unleashed another attack. But this move was Soft Dragon Roar, a move that attacked the Divine Soul. After being hit by Soft Dragon Roar for a while, Unparalleled Sky Shadow completely couldn't hold on anymore. Helpless, he could only say hatefully, Night Sorrow, I, Unparalleled Sky Shadow, will remember you. One day, I'll definitely slaughter my way to the Divine World Territory and take your life. As for Tianing you, you submitting to the people of the Divine World Territory won't have a good outcome. Whether I want an outcome or not, it's not up to you to say. But no matter what, I'll be stronger than you. After all, you've already become a desperate dog. Although he couldn't see Unparalleled Sky Shadow in the void, Tianing Yu was clear that he must be incomparably miserable. Otherwise, he wouldn't shout out such words. I'll report you to Head Elder for betraying the Sky Shadow Territory and attacking me, Unparalleled Sky Shadow. Finally, Unparalleled Sky Shadow left behind a sentence and crushed his identity plate. This was something that Night Sorrow couldn't stop. But after Unparalleled Sky Shadow left, Night Sorrow discovered more than 40 floating identity plates in the void. Clan M, you're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.